left it out anyway, and it's now rotting in the hot weather. Dr Steve McCabe is from Birmingham City University's Business School.
Well, they are. I'm led to believe by my sources in the City Council that there's a degree of sort of political mischief going on here, because it's being stimulated, particularly in the sort of the areas where sort of Conservatives are likely to get in, because they're saying that they'll reinstate the service.
80 firefighters have been tackling a blaze at Lafarge Tarmac in Meriden. The fire, which started last night, involves a huge pile of wood chippings. Because it's in a rural area, 18 fire engines were sent in case it started spreading, but it's under control. There's been a big increase in the number of people being prosecuted for wrongly using blue disabled car badges. The local government association says drivers have been caught using a dead relative's pass or leaving a disabled parent at home while they park for work or shopping. Councillor Jim McMahon is the leader of Oldham Council, where it's particularly bad.
What we found is that prosecutions have doubled, now over 600 prosecutions last year, and that just shows that local authorities are really taking blue badge fraud seriously. But let's go back to basics. So what are these passes for? They're about identifying those with mobility problems to help them lead a normal everyday life. If somebody abuses that, it just makes the system even harder and more constrained and takes longer to process the applications.
Groups that make up the co-op will vote today on whether to take steps towards reforming the organisation that has made big losses and suffered embarrassing resignations among its executives. The former City Minister, Lord Miners, has proposed a major shake-up. Patrick Gray is the president of the Mid-Counties Cooperative, which is the largest of the independent co-ops. He believes that change is needed.
At the moment, there are a hierarchy of committees between the individual member and the board, and that system needs to be replaced by one where members feel much more directly that they can influence the organisation, which they own.
The weather, another fine, dry and warm day today. The top temperature 22 Celsius this afternoon, 72 Fahrenheit. A dry evening and night to follow with mist and fog in places overnight, and a minimum temperature mild 9 Celsius, 48 Fahrenheit. BBC WM 95.6 News. There's more online at bbc.co.uk/WM.
The Voice. The Voice. The Voice. The Voice of Birmingham and the Black Country.
You should take in other religions and treat them as you would want to be treated yourself.
We are even more intelligent. They treated me with the utmost respect.
Iain Lee, Saturdays
9 till 12.
BBC WM 95.6.
Morning, this is Iain Lee, BBC WM 95. Isn't it funny, when there's a little bit of nice weather, we resort to being very childlike, and producer Joe and I are doing the best to wind each other up. Let's just say she's more irritating than me. Busy show this morning. Later on, we'll be talking about this green waste controversy. Some of you have paid 35 quid to get your green waste picked up. Some of you haven't. It's all getting done. Is that fair? We'll talk about that a little bit later on. Also, at what age should you let your children start playing video games? It's a discussion I had with producer Joe. It's her boy, I think, is going to be 6, and she's bought him a video game for his birthday. And I'm kind of thinking, well, maybe that's a little bit too young. I've got a beef with CBeebies as well about video games. We'll talk about that a bit later on. But first, it's a story that's been in the news the last couple of days. Blue badges. And not just the abuse of blue badges. Well, that's part of it, and we can come on to that. Hey, if we can get any of you to admit that you used a blue badge inappropriately, that would be wonderful. There must be someone listening to this who's done that. But also, we were talking about the disabled parking bays in supermarkets and in shopping centres and all across the country. Are there too many of them? 03453 009956.
Have your say.
Across the West Midlands, call
03453 009956.
BBC WM 95.6.
If you want to give us a call, 03453 009956 is the telephone number. I'm just seeing that there should be a little bit of audio in my computer that's not there, producer Joe. Make it happen. That's something that could have been discussed off air, but, you know, we're not particularly slick on this show. So don't worry about that. Have you noticed that? Several groups of people I'd like to speak to today, and I'm sure that you will fall into one of these. If you are a blue badge user, I need to know how important it is for you to use the blue badge, because there are some people listening who won't get it, who won't understand why you need a blue badge, who won't understand why you need a bigger parking space. And I've heard people say that about the disabled parking. Well, why are they so big? I know the answer. Do you want to phone up and tell me what the answer is? 03453 009956. That's the first group of people. I would love to speak to somebody who has used a disabled parking bay or a blue badge inappropriately. You've parked in a disabled parking bay and there's absolutely nothing wrong with you whatsoever. You just thought, stuff it. Everywhere else is full. I'm only going to be 2 minutes and I need to get into Tesco. I need to get into Asda. I'll be 2 minutes. Why should I have to walk from the other side of the car park? I'll go from here. Is that you? Give me a call and let me know. 03453 009956. And also, are there too many disabled parking bays? There are a lot, and I guess if you do the percentages... Hey, and guess what? I don't have the figures, so I'm going to guess, OK? But if you do the percentages of people in this country who are disabled, compare it with the percentage of disabled parking bays in, say, your local Sainsbury's or your Tesco or your Asda or your Lidl, it's a little bit disproportionate, isn't it? There are loads of disabled parking bays. Dare I say it, there are not loads of disabled people or people with blue badges. So, 03453 009956. Do you use a blue badge? Have you used one inappropriately or just parked in a disabled parking bay for a couple of minutes? Because, I'm only going to be a couple of minutes. They've got loads of parking spaces. And can someone explain to me why there are so many disabled parking spaces when it's probably disproportionate to the number of disabled people in this country? 03453 009956 is the phone number. Alan's on a coach.
Good morning, Iain.
Good morning, Alan.
How are you, sir?
I'm fine. What, are you on a coach?
Yeah, I'm headed to Manchester.
Good riddance. Why?
I'm going to a friend's wedding.
You're going to a friend's wedding on a coach. It doesn't get any more glamorous than that, does it, Alan?
Yeah.
But why are you listening to the show on a coach?
I'm listening on the BBC iPlayer radio app.
OK. Is there anybody sat next to you?
No, I've got someone in front of me reading the Times.
So someone's in front of you. Is there anyone behind you?
No, there's no one behind me.
OK. So that because quite often, Alan, when people are making phone calls on buses or trains or coaches, we think of them as being rude.
Sorry.
No, that's OK. Could you do me a favour, Alan?
Yeah?
Could you stand up?
I've got my seatbelt on.
OK, well, unbuckle it.
No, I'll get told off by the driver.
OK, could you shout nice and loudly, I'm sorry for using my phone on the coach?
I'm terribly sorry for using my phone on the coach.
There we go. That's that sorted, Alan. What have you called in about?
Blue badges.
Yeah, go on.
My mum's got a blue badge.
Yeah.
And she normally goes shopping on a Friday to a local Asda.
Yeah.
But every time she goes there, someone has to hold the parking space.
What do you mean?
Hello?
Yeah, hello? Yes. What do you mean, hold the parking space?
No, hog it.
What do you mean, hog it? Who hogs it?
Someone who hasn't got a blue badge.
Oh, blimey.
And my main question is, why do these people do this such thing?
Oh, Alan, you make it sound like they're shooting puppies or something. In the great scheme of things, is an able-bodied person parking in a disabled parking bay? It's not the worst crime in the world, is it, Alan?
No, but let's take... My mum's got very bad legs.
Yeah.
So she's got the right to have that blue badge for her car.
Yeah.
And she's got the right to go into that disabled parking space to park her car. But when we see a non-disabled driver hogging the space for about 3-4 hours, it gets me mum really annoyed.
How do you know they're not disabled?
Because they haven't got a blue badge.
Have you ever challenged these people?
My mum, I'll be tempted to, but my mum said, don't make any trouble for myself.
Yeah, don't make any trouble. That's probably the best. It is frustrating, Alan, and I can understand your frustration. What would you like to see done to these people?
Tried for 6 months and a heavy fine.
Put them in prison for 6 months?
No, put them on trial.
For 6 months?
No, the maximum should be 6 months imprisonment or a heavy fine.
Alan, thank you very much indeed. I think 6 months. Thank you, Alan. And sorry to everybody on that coach, I can only apologise. 6 months in prison is perhaps a little bit excessive. There's a brilliant episode of Seinfeld. Have you seen the Seinfeld episode where George parks in a disabled parking bay? Oh, it's brilliant. And he comes back and there's a huge mob around the car with flaming torches, furious, and they vandalise his car. We do get a little bit righteous, don't we? And vitriolic about people that park in disabled parking bays when they haven't got a blue badge. Are we a bit harsh on these people? Do we treat them, they're not shooting puppies, they're not kidnapping children, they've parked in a disabled parking bay. Maybe there's nowhere else for them to park. Is it the worst crime in the world to do that? I'm not totally convinced that it is, really. 03453 009956 is the telephone number if you want to give us a call. We're talking about this because there has been a big increase, the numbers have been released this week, a big increase in the number of people being prosecuted for the fraudulent use of disabled blue badges. The local government association says drivers have been caught using a dead relative's pass. Oh, that's a bit cheeky, isn't it? Or leaving a disabled parent at home while they park for work or shopping. Well, one of those people who currently use a blue badge is Robert Wallace. He's blind and has cerebral palsy. He says the number of people parking in disabled spaces when they shouldn't be is very frustrating.
9 times out of 10, if you are waiting for disabled parking space, you see that people come out of them with no disability at all. I've got to be a little bit careful because obviously I don't know if there's a hidden disability, but sometimes you see people without the blue badge just parking in the space as well. All they get is maybe a reprimand from a traffic warden or something like that. They don't get anything like a ticket or anything like that.
Now, when you hear somebody like that, when you hear Robert talking about the impact that it has on his life, you kind of do have to wonder, don't you, why anybody would do it. But this is a confusing one. I think there are lots of different issues here. 03453 009956 is the telephone number. I would love to speak to you this morning if you have parked in a disabled parking bay, either using a blue badge inappropriately, or you've just not even had a blue badge. Give us a call. Be interesting to hear your story. How can I tempt you to call in and say you've done something naughty? OK, I'll tell you my story. I once parked in a disabled parking bay using a blue badge that wasn't mine. Boom. There you go. There you go. How's about them apples? Think any differently of me now? It was a long time ago. I'm trying to think when it was. Maybe 15, 16 years ago. I say once, I did it probably 3 times. I was doing the shopping for my mum, who does have a blue badge. And I didn't quite know the rules. Or maybe I did, and I was just chancing my arm a bit. 03453 009956. Your blue badge stories, please. It's BBC WM 95.6. It's coming up to 9:15. Let's get the travel news now. Here's Liz Saul.
Thank you, Ian. Good morning. There are
Liz,
delays.
Liz, I'm sorry. There's laughter in the background. Could you tell them to shut up, please? This is very important.
Yes, certainly. No problem at all. I will tell you that in Birmingham, the A38 St Chad's Queensway Tunnel northbound still has delays as a vehicle has broken down at the junction with Great Charles Street Queensway. Now, as I say, it is causing congestion, particularly heading out of the city from Snow Hill Queensway. And as I say, this vehicle is restricting one of the lanes. It is still queuing in Kings Norton on Lifford Lane at the junction with Tunnel Lane. A lot of congestion around there. Back to Pershaw Road. So apparently people heading towards the nearby tip in the area. Hagley Road is looking busy now around Five Ways Island going into the centre of Birmingham. And we are getting word of problems in the Lee Marston area and Hams Lane around Church Lane. Also a little bit busy around junction 6 of the M42 as events going on at the NEC. If you can update us, call BBC WM 95.6 Travel 08453 002288.
BBC WM 95.6. It's another beautiful day across Birmingham and the Black Country.
Celebrate the faces, voices, music and dance of Birmingham and the Black Country. Brum moves.
Can I hear a drum?
This is our time.
This generation.
Oh, they're lovely behind living.
The people are genuine. Really a nice place to be.
Watch the Brum Moves video online now at bbc.co.uk/WM.
The voice of Birmingham and the Black Country.
BBC WM
95.6.
I'm permission to speak freely. I'm a little bit disappointed with that video. Well, because I'm in it and I'm doing some excellent moves, right? But blink and you miss me, guys. Come on, I gave up 40 minutes of my afternoon to film that. Blink and you miss me. And seriously, I surprised everybody with my wicked dance skills, didn't I, Bernie? Didn't I, Producer Joe? Everybody was blown away by my wicked dance skills. The fact I'm using the word wicked shows how hip I am. Yeah, and I'm only in it for a second. I'll speak to the boss. I'll speak to Tony Hall. Tony Hall sent me an email this week. Yeah, that's right. The head of the BBC sent me an email. His PA did. Anyway, we're talking about blue... Yes, I know. We're talking about blue badges. There's been a big crackdown on the number of people using them inappropriately. The numbers have gone up. But parking in a disabled bay when you're not disabled, is it the greatest crime in the world? There are worse things that happen, aren't there? We always have this knee-jerk reaction of, oh my gosh, it's disgusting. We had Alan saying we should send them to prison for 6 months. 6 months? Just because they've parked in a disabled parking bay for 3 minutes to pop into Asda? There are worse things in the world, aren't there? And can anybody explain to me, please, and I know this is a Danny Kelly line, but why do disabled people get free parking? I know why they get cheaper parking. Do you? 03453 009956. Why free parking? John's in Tividale. Morning, John.
Good morning to you, sir.
John, what would you like to say, sir?
First of all, a lot of people that complain about the blue badge people, one day are going to grow old. They're going to get the infirmities that some of us get. In 2022, I had... No, 2009.
1922?
2009.
2009, yes.
29.
Yeah.
I had knees replacement.
Blimey.
I now find that I need a wider space so that I can get my legs out of the car. If I park in a normal space, the door doesn't open wide enough.
Yep.
Because your knee only comes back to approximately 45 degrees.
Gosh.
I pay a £10 licence fee for the badge from Sandwell Council. So, you know...
So you've got a blue badge, John?
I've got a blue badge, yes. Because it makes it much more convenient for me to shop nearer the shop, especially on high streets, when I want to use the high street and not so much the Sainsbury's and
Can you walk? Can you walk?
I do, but I use a stick.
Okay, but you can walk. You can walk fine, but you just use a stick.
I use a stick just for basic balance.
So why should you be allowed to park closer?
Because it's much more convenient when you've got to carry bags.
Well, it's more convenient for me to park closer when I've got to carry bags.
Yeah, but you're probably able to fit, and I'm not. And you will find that. Let me say something. 18 months after I had my knees fitted, we had the winter. And I really for the first time in my life, appreciated what it was like for older people. So I got in touch with Sainsbury's at their head office and complained about the state of their car park in Albury. I also got in touch with some Albury Council, which I do because I go to meetings, and I complained about the state of the streets.
In terms of
it's not only blue badges,
yes,
and being able to park and make it a little bit. I mean, you try walking down the street with a couple of shopping bags for shopping and a walking stick, and then come back and tell me what you think.
Get a shopping trolley.
But yeah, I
those little tartan ones.
I said the street because I also mentioned it. It's much more convenient for street parking as well.
John, there are too many.
Look on the Sainsbury's, Tesco's, all of
There's
them.
too many disabled parking bays in those supermarket car parks, aren't there?
No, of course they're not.
Really? There's hundreds of them. Disproportionate amount, I would suggest.
There's not hundreds of them. Come down Albury and count them with me. Come on, I'll meet you down Albury now.
Well, I'm busy now, John. I'm doing a show, but I appreciate the offer. Thank you very much. 03453 009956. Are there too many disabled parking spaces? And do people fraudulently use blue badges because there aren't enough regular spaces available? Well, Stephen Brooks joins me now. He's the coordinator of the Disability Hate Crime Network. Morning, Stephen.
Good morning.
Explain the importance of blue badges to me and my listeners, please.
Well, the other thing I will say is I'm also a steering group member of the National Disability Action Alliance, and this is something operated and sponsored and supported by the Office for Disability Issues. Now, a very clear thing is that I will challenge immediately your point about the amount of parking spaces. You questioned about the amount of disabled people in the country.
I didn't question. I don't know the figures. I don't know what the percentage is.
That's the point. That is the point, isn't it? There are 11 million disabled people in this country. 1/4 of this country is disabled.
What's your definition of disabled?
A disability is whatever the person has which disables them from undertaking normal day-to-day activities. It can be mobility, it can be sight impairment, it can be hearing impairment, it could be somebody like myself who's got a double fractured spine, who's had a stroke. It is something which limits your ability to move in a normal way.
But those 11 million people don't have blue badges, do they?
No, and that's the whole point, isn't it? So you see your argument about there are too many blue badges, too many parking spaces.
No, Stephen, I didn't say there were too many blue badges. I said there were too many disabled... It could be questioned... that there may be too many disabled parking spaces in supermarket car parks?
No. Most supermarkets have no more than 10 disabled parking bays.
Out of how many?
Out of getting on for 350 on the average out-of-town car park.
See, I've seen far more than that in the supermarkets I use.
I think what you need to do is double-check on whether they are disabled parking bays or child.
No, I know the difference. Yeah, one's got a picture of a wheelchair, one's got a picture of a woman with a baby.
And you'll find that the legislation on most of the major supermarkets, like Morrison's, Sainsbury's, and so on, is that they have a maximum of around 10 to 15. That's it.
Well, I have seen car parks. In fact, the one I was in just 2 days ago, which is why we're talking about this, had far more than that. So that may be the average, but that's not everywhere, is it?
In that case, that's very good of that supermarket to actually consider the disabled population of this country, who, of course, also have a £50 billion a year spend. So, of course, it's very, very dangerous to ignore the fact that some people are not able to move as well. Having said that, going back to this whole thing about fraud, let's also face it, that abuse of blue badges is very big business. It's feeding crime. It's about £1,500 to buy a blue badge in London at the moment. So anybody who is abusing the system is actually contributing to crime in this country.
Well, but it's not just ones that are bought illegally, is it? It's family members using dead relatives or, just going out on their own without taking their disabled relative with them as well, isn't it?
Well, of course, the ultimate story, and it's actually partly on the BBC's own website this morning, is that it's professionals, including lawyers, who are using blue badges illegally. Now, this is the point. So we've got this point about dead relatives passes or not actually having the disabled person with them. Most disabled people need space. The idea of the width being bigger of disabled parking bays is that for some people, you need space. I have a walking aid. About 15 years ago, when I was still living in Coventry, I had a car accident. I was told I'd be in a wheelchair. Now, fortunately, I'm not. I managed to overcome certain issues. But if I get in and out of a car, for example, I can't use an ordinary saloon car as a taxi. I have to have a bomber, the black cabs. I need the door wide open to get out of it. There are people who do need wheelchairs to actually move more than about 5 feet. This other thing about, somebody can walk. Why have they got a wheelchair if they can walk? Hang on. You get into bed, you do walk to the loo, but you can't walk more than about 5 to 10 feet without falling down. I have crumbling arthritis in my hips, so I'm prone to stumbles. you can't walk a long distance. There are certain considerations which need to be made, and that is to actually allow disabled people to do a certain amount of normal day-to-day activity, like shopping.
Why do we react so badly if someone who hasn't got a blue badge parks in a disabled bay for 5 minutes just to pop in and, buy some cigarettes or something? It's not the biggest crime in the world, is it?
It's not the biggest crime in the world. It's not the biggest crime in the world, but it is an offence. And this is the point. OK, so we allow one little thing. We allow the next little thing. We allow the next little thing. The fact is that if, for example, we abuse language, if, for example, as we do know, disabled people are abused for using disabled parking bays, even if they've got a blue badge, why are you doing this? I'm called because I'm disabled, because I have a walking aid. I've been yelled at as a scrounger, a benefit cheat, a thief. That's all media fed. Now, what we've got to do is draw the line and make it very, very clear that disabled people are allowed to have a life. There are certain things that we do need a bit of condition, a bit of support, and a bit of understanding. And I think this is the whole point about this. It's the total failure to understand that there's a difference in need. I tell you what, one day, OK, that guy was saying go over to his car park. I think one day what you ought to try and do is get into a wheelchair or get a white stick and put, as I don't like the idea, but some blind associations do it, put a mask on and see just how you get on.
I've done the wheelchair thing.
Yeah,
I've done it.
It's not easy, is it?
No, it's blooming difficult. I have to push my mum around in the wheelchair, and getting around in the wheelchair is a nightmare.
And therefore, if you're pushing your mother in a wheelchair into a store, you want a little bit of help, not going from a quarter of a mile or half a mile away from the furthest car park space, but a little bit of consideration to actually allow you to get into the building in her ease and your ease. And this is the point. What we're doing is just making it a little bit easier for disabled people to actually get in and have a life.
Stephen, stay there. Steve from Walsall has called in. Steve, what would you like to say?
I've just been to the supermarket and, there's more than 15 disabled bays, because obviously now when new supermarkets get built, the council say that there have to be a certain amount of bays available. Now, I've got nothing against disabled people or anything like that, because my mum's disabled, but she's not entitled to a blue badge. Now, my mum had pneumonia about 8 months ago, and apparently she's not disabled enough, because it's damaged the lungs, to have a blue badge. Now, she struggles getting around. Now, it's some people who are classed as disabled still are not entitled to blue badges. So,
So what's your question, Steve? What would you like to say to Stephen?
Who, me?
Yeah.
Basically, I just want to say that gentleman who's just been on saying that there's only 10, 15 parking bays is wrong, because there's more than that. Because, it's when people are immoral to park into disabled bays, and they park in child bays as well. You see it all the time. And it's just this the way. I'll get away with it, because nobody's implementing anything at the supermarket.
Stephen Brooks, well, he does have a point. I've mentioned it myself to people at the supermarket. Hey, there's someone who's parked in that disabled bay. They ain't got a blue badge. They don't do anything, do they? So it's a pointless exercise to even have these bays if people won't enforce it.
Yeah, it depends. Again, you see, as that gentleman said, the point about the parking bays is the company itself should take notice. Now, we're there then talking about the security and the security staff, and that's a whole new ball game, and I won't even go there at the moment about the inept attitude of some supposed security people in stores. But the point is there's supposed to be a minimum. Now, any supermarket that does do more than that is actually considering the customer base. So, let's be fair about that. If there are more than, then the supermarket has made a decision, an active decision, to make it easier for people who are disabled to park. But, you see, again, answering that gentleman's point about there are certain disabilities which are considered not necessarily difficult enough or disabling enough to require a blue badge. I can't drive anymore because even though I was a marketing manager and I used to drive all over the country, in fact my car smash was not far from Speedy Junction. But the fact is I don't drive anymore. I don't have a blue badge. I don't need one because I get around the way that I need to, in the way that I can. But some people, particularly in rural areas or less sort of well-populated areas do need some form of mobility. There's a guy that I know in Warrington who has virtually no limb movement, and he's got an electronically controlled car. He can get to a parking bay, and certainly somehow he manages to do his shopping, and I totally admire his ability. But without that nearness to the store, he would be sunk.
Stephen, we've got to end it there, so we're running out of time. Thank you very much. Stephen Brooks, coordinator of the Disability Hate Crime Network. Well, what do you think, dear listener? 03453 009956. Do you think that blue badge holders get a raw deal? Do you think it's a bit of a fuss about nothing, and that actually parking in a disabled bay, in the great scheme of things, it's not that bad a deal? Or are you one of those militants who thinks, no, it's disgusting and we should hang these criminals that do this? 03453 009956.
Iain Lee. On BBC WM.
95.6. The voice of Birmingham and the Black Country.
David's in Sutton Coldfield. Morning, David.
Good morning.
David, what would you like to say?
This about people using disabled badges. There's a lot of people who've got disabled badges who don't need the extra wide parking bay. They could park in an ordinary bay and still use a blue badge, but they park in a...
Are you suggesting, David, we have a two-tier system? We have the blue badge number 1, which is for people who need that extra space. Maybe they've got a walking frame or a wheelchair or something like that, or a bent knee. And then a blue badge number 2, which is people who do need a blue badge, but they don't necessarily need the extra space.
Well, they can't enforce the system they got at the moment, so having a two-tier system, they won't be able to enforce it, really, because... all the time I've had a blue badge, nobody has asked to see my picture in the blue badge.
Have you ever lent your blue badge to anyone?
No, daren't. It's £1,000 fine, or I could lose my badge completely.
But David, no one would know. People do it. Have you never had a friend? Have you never had a friend, David, who said, "David, listen, I'm popping down the shops. Can I just borrow your badge for a second?"
No.
No?
I wouldn't let them use it anyway.
Why do you get free parking sometimes?
Well, that depends on the store.
Yeah.
Well, it's mainly stores, but you go to hospitals, it's not free parking.
Quite often, blue badges get free parking in multi-storey car parks and things like that, don't they?
Council car parks,
yeah.
But in private car parks, they don't.
Why is that, do you think?
I don't know.
Because there are some people who are a little bit jealous of that.
Well, there's some people who they don't look disabled. There was one this week when I was getting out and he parked next to me and put a paper under his foot and just walked to the lift. It's funny because it was nearer the lift.
Yeah.
But he had a blue badge. Why? I don't know.
And that's an important thing, isn't it? Because we make judgments on people's health and ability on how they look. And that gentleman that you saw may have been disabled, but not visibly disabled.
Oh yeah, there's quite a lot of invisible disabilities, really.
David, thank you very much. Joe's in Tamworth. Morning, Joe.
Morning.
Joe, what would you like to say?
Yeah, well, at Tamworth, Astor, if you go into a parking bay, you'll get fined 50 quid.
Oh, what, if you go into a disabled parking bay?
They got a board up telling you, so you got no excuse. And Burton-on-Trent, I had to go to the hospital every fortnight. I took my blue badge, they got special bays there, and good job my grandson looked on the wall, he said, over 20 minutes, you'll get fined 70 quid. Hello?
Yeah, I'm listening. Go on, Joe.
Yeah, 70 quid. And my friend parked at Astor, and he forgot to put his blue badge up. He had a ticket on his window screen, 50 quid.
I thought you said a chicken on his window screen.
Yeah, Astor, yeah. And,
a chicken?
And if you go
he had a chicken on his window screen?
Yeah. And
a chicken?
And if you go to some of them, and the grandson went to Astor in Burton-on-Trent, and he just stayed over a bit.
Yeah.
And they clocked him.
Yeah.
And he had a photograph, him and my other grandson.
Yeah.
And coming out of there, over there, and he had a fine of £70.
Joe, did you see he had a chicken on his window screen?
Yeah.
A chicken?
Yeah.
A chicken on his window screen?
Yeah, he did.
A chicken?
Yeah. And what happens if you stop over your limit?
You get a sheep.
You get fined for that.
Joe, thank you very much indeed. A chicken on his... I missed something there. He had a chicken on his window screen. What did I miss? 03453 009956. He had a chicken on his window screen. This is what we need to do. We need imaginative punishments for those sick criminals, those perverted individuals that park in disabled bays when they don't need disabled bays. A chicken on the window screen is kind of like a low-budget version of a horse's head in the bed, like in The Godfather Part 2, isn't it? It's that kind of thing. Chicken on the window screen. You park here again without a blue badge, I'm going to give you some bad juju. Gary's in Solihull. Morning, Gary.
Morning, Ian.
Ever had a chicken on your window screen?
No, not for that.
I'm being told off in my... Gary, I'm being told off in my ear by producer Joe, who's picked me up on something. I'm saying window screen.
Yeah.
And she's saying, isn't it just a windscreen?
But that's right, it's a windscreen.
I think both are acceptable, aren't they?
Well,
my window screen and my windscreen, they're both acceptable, aren't they?
Well, no, it's a wind screen to protect you from the wind.
It's screening me from the wind, yes, I'll give you that. But also, it's a screen made of window.
No, it's a screen made of glass.
Yeah, which is window. Glass is window. Glass is window.
No, it's a... You look at window and glass in a dictionary and you'll find two different meanings.
No, I think you'll find that glass is window and window is glass, and window screen is screening you with a window.
Okay.
Still, either way, I wouldn't like to return to my car and find a chicken on either my windscreen or my window screen. Both of those would upset me a lot. Anyway, sorry, Gary, you've called in with a point and we've gone off on a tangent. Let's stop that. What have you got for us?
Well, no, a member from Solihull Council says to me that to do with parking, that they are strictly to do with disabled bays and parent and toddler bays. And they said that if all disabled bays are taken up, then a blue badge holder has priority over mother and toddler in parking in a mother and toddler bay.
Well, that doesn't seem fair.
No, it doesn't.
That doesn't seem fair because, listen, I don't know if you've ever had to... two things. If you've ever had to get two young kids out of a car, take them into a shop, come back with a trolley and put the shopping in the car, it is flipping hard work. I would suggest, I've started this sentence already, I'm regretting it, I would suggest that is harder work than some people getting in and out of their car who have disabilities. Some people. And also, why is it a mother and child bay? Why is it not a father and child bay? A parent and child? I had to park in a mother and child bay the other day. I felt discriminated against.
Well, if you had your dress on and that, like you said the other week, like you said you like wearing, then maybe you'd feel a bit more comfortable.
I'm never going to live that down, am I? It does seem unfair that if you've got, and I don't, if someone can back us up on this, we need some verification, that if the disabled bay is full, you have a blue badge, you have priority over parent and children bays. That seems a little bit unfair.
Well, that's what they told me, because I said to them, if all the parent and toddler bays are taken up, can a parent and toddler use a disabled bay because of the extra width? And I says, no way whatsoever, you can't. So, I mean...
Gary, thank you very much for that. And here's another thing. Thank you. And the mother and toddler bays is a picture of a mum with a baby. That's sexist, right? Nothing wrong with being sexy. That's sexist, and that is discriminatory, because I parked in a mother and toddler bay the other day. I had a child with me, by coincidence. But I still felt a bit... Here's another thing, right? And I found this out when my boys were getting their injections, get the vaccinations, OK? As the father, I wouldn't have been allowed to take them on my own to get the injection without permission from the mother. The mother, this blew my mind. The mother has the final say as to whether they get their vaccinations or not. And I said to the nurse, "Can I bring the kids in on my own?" It's difficult. It's better if you have the mother with you. We can't. The father doesn't have the say as to whether the kid has the injection or not. What? That doesn't seem fair. So the mother has the ultimate say. And when I asked why, they said, there's lots of cases of the mother not wanting it and the dad kind of not snatching the children, but bringing the children along without the mother's permission to get the injection because they believe they should have it and the mother doesn't think so. Well, that doesn't seem fair. You want equality, women. No. You want equality. You've got the vote. You're almost earning as much as us, and yet you've still got more control over the children than us. It's outrageous, isn't it, Pat?
It is.
Isn't it outrageous?
There's a lot of things that are outrageous in this world today.
Aren't
and
they
the
just?
older you get, the more you find.
Yeah, well, yes. Why? What have you found?
Well, I switched on the radio this morning. What do I hear? The anti-blue badge brigade.
Oh, yes.
If they had the problems that some people have who have blue badges, such as myself, they'd be darn glad of it, I can assure you.
Why does it? How does it improve your life?
Because it enables me to get to shops that I wouldn't be able to get to otherwise.
Why wouldn't you be able to get to them?
Because I've got a chronic degeneration of the spine. My spine's worn out.
Yes.
And I do have coronary heart disease and angina as well, but I didn't get it for that.
Okay.
I got it because of my back. And it's not the backache. I'm never, ever, for 1 second, out of pain.
Oh, blimey.
I can't take the medication because it gave me irritable bowel syndrome and diverticulitis.
Well, you have a right old list, don't you, Pat?
Narcissus for starters. I won't bore you with the rest.
No, well, that's a long list. But
now, can I just say one more thing?
Go on, Pat.
One man came on and said about why can't we park in normal bays?
Yes.
The reason, such as myself, can't park in a normal bay is that I have to have my door fully extended.
Yes.
I can't put one leg out and then twist and get the other leg out. I have to turn my whole body and get the two legs out at the same time. Otherwise, I'd split my spine.
Pat, let me bring Barry from Watford in. Barry, when you hear a story like Pat, who could end up splitting her spine,
yes.
It's a good argument, isn't it, for the blue badge?
Well, it is, but, I know people have medical problems, but where we live, there's an independent supermarket with a parking bay for blue holders.
Blue badge holders?
Blue badge. But my wife, they do a certain biscuit there. You can't get it anywhere else. It's like a Viscount biscuit with a minty interior that my wife likes.
No brand names, please.
Oh, sorry. It's a minty biscuit.
Yeah.
A minty biscuit, and it's got two halves chocolate on the top and
we've got
on the bottom.
We've got the biscuit, Barry.
It's wrapped in silver foil.
Okay, we've got the biscuit.
Right,
Yeah.
so she's very fond of them,
Yes.
and it's got a sort of soft centre in the middle.
It's a minty biscuit. Yeah, we've got that, Barry.
A minty biscuit.
Yeah, minty
and
biscuit.
And it's the only place you can get this minty biscuit.
Yeah.
So sometimes, in order to get it, it's got quite crunchy. It's a crunchy.
It's a crunchy minty biscuit. We've got the biscuit, Barry.
It's a crunchy minty biscuit.
We've got the biscuit, Barry. So tell us the story.
Sorry. Well, this biscuit, the crunchy minty biscuit that she likes, you can only get from this particular shop.
What's that got to do with blue badges, Barry?
Well, she likes this biscuit, and sometimes I can't get there unless I park and use the blue badge to go and get it.
Do you have a blue badge?
Yes.
Are you entitled to a blue badge?
She is, but I use it to get the biscuit. It's a very nice biscuit,
Okay.
it's baked and it's a chocolate affair.
Okay, Barry, let me bring Pat back in. Barry is using his wife's blue badge to get what sounds like, let's be honest, a very delicious minty chocolate biscuit.
It is delicious.
okay.
It is delicious.
If that's the only place he can get the biscuit, Pat, then what's so bad about that?
Well, I haven't disagreed with it, have I? I mean, I can understand his predicament.
Yeah, it's very nice.
He
It's a lovely one.
can use... Can I just finish? He can use his wife's badge if he's shopping for his wife, but he couldn't use it for himself.
Exactly. I've eaten the biscuit. Don't get me wrong, I've had it. I've had one before, and they're jolly nice. But my wife, they're mostly for my wife, and the neighbour comes round. He's quite keen. He doesn't quite the orange ones, but he likes the minty ones. And I've gone round and got that, 4 of them.
So Pat, you're saying that in this instance, it's fine to use a blue badge?
Yes, because because he's shopping for his wife. But you do find there are people who use the blue badge, the badge of the owner
Yeah.
for their own shopping, and that's wrong.
Pat, thank you very much. Barry, it's a powerful point you've made. No doubt we'll get lots of calls on that.
OK, well, the orange one isn't so nice, as I say. It's the minty one, really.
We're going to... it's travel now, so thanks very much, Barry.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. 03453 009956.
I think that...
Oh, that's the wrong thing. Let's do this. Hang on, I do apologise. I'm all over the shop. I haven't got where's my travel bed? Liz!
Yes, Ian.
Hang on,
Hello.
we're going to get the music. Don't worry that the computer...
Okay.
No, don't worry. We can. No one will notice.
Calm, deep breath.
Don't panic, Mr. Mannering. Here we go. Let's get the travel news now with Liz.
Thank you very much, Ian. It's seamless. As you head to Kings Norton, Lifford Lane is queuing as you head towards Tunnel Lane. There's a tip nearby, and there seems to be an awful lot of traffic going in that direction, perhaps a bit of spring cleaning going on. So the congestion back to Pershaw Road in the A441. Busy through Selly Oak on the A38 inbound towards the Priory Road turning and in the Edgbaston direction. Better news at St Chad's Queensway Tunnel going north out of the city. That broken down vehicle has been recovered. All the restrictions lifted and traffic is flowing much better through there. It's not too bad on the motorway routes. A little bit of traffic around junction 6 of the M42 because of events going on there and getting underway. If you can update us, call BBC WM 95.6 Travel 08453 002288.
Adrian Goldberg.
Join me on Monday when I'll be interviewing Henry Winkler, The Fonz and Dawn French.
I'm looking now at a tattoo on my wrist of 2 little stars, and one of those is Jennifer and one of those is me, so I carry her on my actual body with me.
Dawn French and Henry Winkler from 9 on Monday.
BBC WM
95.6.
03453 009956. We're talking about blue badges today. Big increase in the number of people being prosecuted for the fraudulent use of blue disabled badges. The local government association says drivers have been caught using a dead relative's pass or leaving a disabled parent at home while they park for work or shopping. Just to pick up on what Barry from Watford was saying, I don't think you're allowed to use the blue badge for a partner. I don't think you're allowed to. We'll check. Producer Joe's on the case. She's going to Wikipedia. I don't think you can use it for a partner if the partner's not in the vehicle. I think they have to be in the vehicle. Melissa's in Birmingham. Morning, Melissa.
Morning.
I think the partner has to be in the vehicle, don't they?
I think they do, actually.
Yeah, I thought that was the case.
I think they usually do, yeah.
Yeah. Go on, what have you got for us?
What it is, I'm talking about these blue badges and things like that. My dad, on a fair few occasions, have parked in a disabled bay, but he hasn't got a badge. But he is actually partially sighted. He's completely blind in one eye.
Yeah.
So obviously he's got no depth perception, so the larger spaces benefit him greatly. So, but he has
hang on a minute. Is he driving?
Yes, you can still drive with full sight in one eye.
He's got...
I'm not permit nurse, so I know you can do that.
No, but hang on, Melissa. Hang on for a second. I'm terrified. He's got no depth perception, but he's still driving?
Yes, they're allowed to.
Really?
Yep,
oh, that
believe
can't,
it or not.
No, that can't be right. With the greatest
How about that gentleman that you just had, who wasn't just on, but he texted in saying that he was blind in one eye and he's got a disabled... He was blind and he's got a badge.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, you can have the badge even if you don't drive, can't you? Because you can have carers or partners that take you.
But you do have to state whether you drive or whether it's somebody else.
I am surprised, and with the greatest of respect to your dad, that someone without any depth perception is allowed to drive.
Yeah.
Oh,
so you think they would actually give him a disabled badge.
Yeah.
But they said unless you actually listed as blind and not partially sighted, like the gentleman who you said came on the phone and he did a list of everything. He said partially sighted.
Yep.
My dad was actually turned down and couldn't get one.
Oh, dear.
So he has to. So he parks in there, and as people say, you get to see people walking out and things absolutely fine. They look fine. Are you really going to go up and look at my dad's eye and notice, oh, he's got nothing there?
But Melissa, let's be slightly strict about this. If your dad doesn't qualify for the blue badge, then he shouldn't be allowed to park in the disabled bay. If he doesn't fit the criteria, then he shouldn't be allowed to park there.
No, I do completely agree with that. If he's in a place that he's not familiar with, or he's not familiar with the car park or anything, then yes, he does park in there simply because he doesn't want to actually scratch people's cars instead.
Gosh. Melissa, there will be people now... If he's unable to park in a normal-sized parking bay because he can't see properly...
Oh, no, he can if he's familiar with it.
He shouldn't be driving, though.
So So, as I say, that's what they do. He's still allowed to drive with complete 6/9 vision in the good eye.
He's got... Oh, OK.
So he's still allowed to drive with that, according to DVLA.
But do you not feel... Do you worry about him driving?
I would say yes, but I've actually been in the car with him, and in all honesty, you can't actually tell that he's blind in one eye. It's quite bizarre.
But if he's not comfortable driving in an unknown car park and parking in a, in inverted commas, normal bay, because he's worried he might scratch the cars, he shouldn't be driving, should he?
Well, not in that car park.
No, but he shouldn't be driving anywhere. He shouldn't be driving...
The DVLA need to know, but obviously I work in the ophthalmics, and I've been in there quite a lot where people have literally we've had to inform the DVLA of their vision.
Yeah.
And believe it or not, when you get some people come in and they can just read the top line with both of their eyes, and you say, "Oh, have you driven here today?" and they go, "Yes," you're like, "Oh God." But my dad can read all the way down to the bottom of the chart.
Melissa, do you not feel, as a responsible human being, and you sound very responsible, do you not feel you should maybe stop your dad from driving?
Well, I've mentioned it to him, but it's his livelihood, really.
What does he do for a living? Don't tell me he's a cabbie.
No. Well, for his life, he drives, really.
OK, Melissa, stay there. Derek's in Droitwich. Derek, what would you like to say?
Well, I'm scared to death, basically. They're allowing partly sighted drivers. I mean, I have enough when I used to drive with people with perfect sight, some of them, to be honest with you. So it's really worrying, you know. That is. I can't believe it.
I understand it is. I mean, but I'd say according to DVLA, they're still allowed to drive, and I've seen people, obviously, with worse vision than that are absolutely horrendous drivers.
Melissa, aren't opticians allowed to report? Aren't opticians allowed to report people to the police if they feel they're not safe?
No, what they do is they report them to the DVLA and they fill in a partially sighted form for them, and it gets sent off to the DVLA.
Derek, I'm shocked. I didn't realise that there were partially sighted people driving.
I can't believe it. I mean, I worked for 4 or 5 years as a coach and bus driver, and some of the situations I've seen with people who are, let's say, getting on in years were terrific. I believe that, you know, at 70, which I ain't far away from, they should be have a test, not a test where they've got to pay, a test to see whether they're competent. There are some competents over 70, and there are others, you know. I mean, you'd cry. But partly sighted drivers, that's unbelievable.
There is. But I agree with the DVLA. They need to make that legal about people over 70 having to retake their test, because that's much scarier, believe me.
I think they should make it legal as well. The people partly sighted or problem with eyesight, without they wear glasses or something, which gives them fairly good eyesight. I think partly eyesight, I think they shouldn't be driving, to be honest with you.
Derek, Melissa, thank you very much indeed. I'm a little bit shocked. Melissa's dad only parks... If he's in a car park he doesn't know, he'll park in the disabled bay. He hasn't got a blue badge. It's because he's uncomfortable about parking in a normal-sized bay in case he scrapes a car. He's got no depth perception. I am terrified at the thought of that. Partially sighted people driving? Are you having a laugh? 03453 009956. Derek has also raised a really interesting point. We're going off on a tangent. Hold on to your hats, kids. Here comes a tangent. Older drivers. I've often thought this. Older drivers, from the age of, let's be generous, 67 onwards, you should have to take a driving test every year. And if you fail that driving test because your eyesight's not up to scratch, your reactions are not as hot as perhaps they once were, then you lose your driving licence. You got a free bus pass anyway, so you get around. You're not completely housebound. But if you're 67 and over, you should have to take a driving test each year. You know how it's done now? I think I've got this right. Someone will correct me. At the age of 70, you're sent a letter from the DVLA. saying, are you OK to drive, yes or no? You tick yes if you can see it, and you send it back. And then 3 years later, you get a letter from the DVLA. Are you still OK to drive, yes or no? You tick yes, you send it back. There's no test, there's no exam, there's no doctor's visit. You have to declare whether you think you are safe to drive or not. Come on, guys. That's nuts, isn't it? And we all know, I do think young drivers get a bad rap. Yeah, they're a little bit cocky, they're a little bit cocksure, but they get a bad rap. But their reactions are generally better than those of elderly people. I've seen some old people just do some awful, awful driving. From the age of 67, you should have a driving test every single year. And yes, yes, you should. Every single year. I'm being generous. I want to say 65, but there'll be a back. No, I'm going to say 67. Every single year, you do a driving test. And if you fail it on any point, that's it. You're banned from driving for the rest of your life. You've had fun in your car. Give it up. Get your bus pass. 03453, given the old number, 009956. Producer Joe wants... Yeah, exactly. They get the free bus passes, Producer Joe. You're right. So they've got nothing to complain about. I think that the majority of bad driving comes from old drivers. Not young drivers. It's old drivers. Danny's in Wolverhampton. Danny, good morning to you.
Good morning.
It's disgusting, isn't it, that partially sighted people are allowed to drive?
I totally disagree.
Oh, go on. Why?
I'm partially sighted.
Oh, here we go. Yes, OK. You would disagree. Go on.
Totally blind in the left eye.
Hey.
I've been driving since I was 17. I'm now 53.
Gosh, you must be tired.
Sorry?
You must be tired.
Oh, yes. I'm very tired. Also, I'm a fully qualified driving instructor.
OK. You've got no depth perception?
Yes.
Well, then how can you drive if you have no perception of depth?
Very well, thank you.
But you can't. You don't know if that child is 10 feet away or 20 feet away. You don't know if that motorbike is. You can't tell.
You can't. Very easily. You adapt. The human body is very good at adapting.
But should we, when people's lives are literally at risk?
Yes.
Should we be about adapting and compromise? Shouldn't we be only giving driving licences to those people who are at the top of their game physically?
Physically, yes, but also skill and ability comes into it as well. Now, for example, I've been teaching and training instructors for the last 30 plus years. I present on speed awareness courses. I work for various road safety units.
Yes.
I've done training for the Ministry of Defence. I teach towing, trailer driving. You name it, we do it. Advanced driver training, fleet risk assessments. I do that all day and every day.
Danny, with the greatest of respect, you can't see properly.
I can drive better than you.
I bet you can't.
I'll take that challenge. Whenever you want to meet me, I'll assess you.
And then I, sir, will assess you. OK. Danny, thank you very much indeed. You're a good sport. 03453 009956. Richard, stay there. I'll come to you after the news if you don't mind, because I want to give you a full crack of the whip. But if we go there now, we'll have to rush it. I am shocked, genuinely shocked, that there are partially sighted drivers out there. Does that concern you, or am I being a little bit overly cautious? I would have thought when sight is a key factor in driving, to not have full sight ability is a little bit, how can I put this, odd and dangerous. And also, retests, driving retests. At the age of 67, you get one every single year, because at that age, your reflexes, your sight, your skills, your coordination, they start to decrease to make the roads safer. There can't be anybody that disagrees with that, can there? 03453 009956.
With full commentary of every Warwickshire cricket game this summer, exclusively online, bbc.co.uk/WM.
The voice of Birmingham and the Black Country.
BBC WM 95.6.
bang on 10 o'clock. Let's get the news and sport now with Nicole Pullman.
Tons of garden waste left on the streets in Birmingham is being collected by binmen today, working overtime. People who haven't paid an extra £35 a year to have it collected left it out anyway, and it's now rotting in the hot weather. James Mackay is the man who brought in the charges, and he told Molly Green this morning on BBC WM that he understands why people who have paid are upset, but he wouldn't go as far as saying they would get a refund.
I think we do need to be very mindful of the fact that people are now paying for this service. But you've got a choice, haven't you? Where no resident is taking responsibility for garden waste that's been left out on the street, you can leave it there forever. I don't think anyone would find that an acceptable way forward. You can do some targeted clear-ups where you've got a problem. This is about a transition from one to another, not about an ongoing substitute service.
There's been a big increase in the number of people in England being prosecuted for using blue disabled badges when they're not entitled to. The local government association says the figure has more than doubled in the last 3 years. Claire Pelham is the chief executive of Leonard Cheshire Disability.
They're actually stealing the independence of another disabled person who might want to park opposite the chemist because they need to pick up a prescription. They can't walk far without support. They've stolen their independence. They can't park their car. They can't pick up their prescription. They can't live the life that we as a country want to support them to live.
Jubilant crowds have welcomed India's new Prime Minister Narendra Modi to Delhi after the overwhelming election victory by his party, the BJP. Mr Modi, who's risen from tea seller to leader of more than 1 billion people, is now at a party headquarters after a long victory procession from the airport. These people were among the thousands who turned out to greet him.
Normal people, the youth, especially youth, expecting a lot from the Narendra Modi, and Narendra Modi will do for us. Narendra Modi Zindabad! Narendra Modi Zindabad!
I think it's clearly a very clear Mr. Modi Sonami. You can see the jubilation of the workers. It's very apparent this is about the economy.
This is a tribute to the leadership of Mr. Narendra Modi.
Boxing, and the young block switch boxer Luke Paddock extended his perfect professional record to 7 wins from 7 fights at Warsaw Town Hall last night. He comfortably beat his Bulgarian opponent Christian Dotchev on points as part of a card covered live on BBC WM. Paddock says it was always going to be hard to win inside the distance, but he always felt in control.
It's nice to get the rounds in, but I don't think I was ever going to stop him. He's a tough cookie, but as you can see, a few rounds. I'm a boxer, and, I can outbox. When I want to box, I can really box.
The weather, another fine, dry and warm day today with a top temperature of 22 Celsius, 72 Fahrenheit. A dry evening and night with mist and fog in places, and an overnight low of 9 Celsius, 48 Fahrenheit. BBC WM 95.6 News. There's more online at bbc.co.uk/WM.
The voice of Birmingham and the Black Country.
You should take in other religions and treat them as you would want to be treated yourself.
We are even more intelligent. They treated me with the utmost respect.
Iain Lee, Saturdays
9 till 12.
BBC WM 95.6.
Thank you very much, Nicole. Morning, this is Iain Lee, BBC WM 95.6. What a feisty first hour. And it's been one of those hours. We've started off with one thing, and apropos very little, we've gone... I don't even know what apropos means. We've gone off in a couple of different tangents. We've started talking about blue badges, the disabled blue badges, the exploitation of blue badges, people using them when it's not their blue badge, people parking in disabled bays when they don't have a disability or a badge. And it's got some of you quite angry, some of you quite upset. We then discovered that Melissa's dad drives, doesn't have a blue badge, but he's blind in one eye. He's got no depth perception. He parks in the disabled bay despite not having the badge because he's worried if he goes into a normal size bay, he might scrape a car. What? It's got us on to talking as well about older people. We had a call from Derek who brought up the subject that maybe older people should do retests. I kind of agree. At the age of 67, every year you do a retest. And if at any point you are found out to not be up to scratch, then you lose your licence. You've got a bus pass. Is that a problem? There are too many cars on the roads anyway, aren't there? So we need to cut down somehow. Seems like a good start. 03453 009956. Coming up in this hour, we'll be talking about the Birmingham green waste situation. Some of you lot pay £35 to have your green waste collected. Fair enough. Some of you haven't. That's your choice. Yet all of it is being collected. Is that fair? Should the people who paid get their 35 quid back? Iain.lee@bbc.co.uk. 81333 is the text number. Start your text WM. Or you can give me a call. Very busy on the phones this morning. 03453 009956.
Have your say.
Across the West Midlands, call
03453
009956.
BBC WM 95.6.
Jake's in Castle Bromwich. Morning, Jake.
Morning.
Jake, what would you like to say, sir?
Morning. Very, very angry about your saying about old people being bad drivers. There's more bad drivers amongst the young suffering from drug. There's more drug users driving today than the old people being bad drivers. What about that?
Two things, if I may, sir.
Go on.
I didn't say that all old people were bad drivers. And yes, if people are using drugs while they are driving, then they should be banned as well.
Right. Well, there's more people using drugs and driving today than there is old people bad drivers.
How do you know that, sir? Where have you got your statistics from?
How do I know that? I do know that. I mean,
where have you got your statistics? Clear your throat, Jake. Where have you got your statistics from?
I haven't got my statistics. Have you got yours?
No. Well, it's not me that's brought up. It's not me that's brought up the subject of more and less than. It's you. So I would have thought that to back up that argument, you would have had statistics.
I haven't got statistics,
okay,
but
so,
I do know.
Well, can I ask, sir, how do you know?
Because everybody today is smoking drugs. My next-door neighbours, I've got two young children. They smoke it openly in the garden.
Okay.
And they both drive.
Jake, you've...
They're good people.
Jake.
But as far as that, they drive with two young children.
With the greatest of respect, you've just lost your argument. Can I explain why?
Go on, then.
You've said everybody smokes drugs.
Most people do, yeah.
No, again, that's simply not true, Jake. It's simply not true. Most people do not smoke drugs.
Where have you got those facts from?
Because what you've done is you've made a sweeping generalisation based on nothing. Okay, most people do not smoke drugs. What makes you think they do? Because your next door neighbours do.
Because you can smell it everywhere.
No, you can't, Jake. You can't.
Well, I can.
Well, then I suggest that there's something wrong with your nose because you can't.
And as far as you saying about traffic needs to come off the roads, I agree with you. And if they open all those branch lines, the beaching closed, there'd be a damn sight more traffic come off the road.
Well, that's the whole beaching network. That's a
instead of spending £70 billion on high speed 2, open up all those branch lines so people can get to the towns without having to use their car.
Also, everyone could smoke drugs on those trains, couldn't they?
They could do, yeah. Someone said smoking in their cars.
Jake, do you not think, and let's move on from the nonsense that most people are smoking drugs, because they're not. So don't if that's causing you to lose sleep at night, then please don't. But do you not think, Jake, as we get older, and I've noticed it myself, I'm only 40, but as we get older, our reactions slow down, our eyes get a little bit worse, it's a little bit harder to focus, and from a safety point of view, it does make sense to retest older people, doesn't it?
No.
Why?
If an older person, who I think most older people are very, very honest and trustworthy, and if they think that they've got a problem, I'm sure that they would say so.
Well, no.
I'm 74. I drive. Yeah. I wear spectacles.
So you get a letter.
If I had a problem, when I go for a retest every year on my glasses, if my optician tells me that I'm not safe to drive, fair enough, that's it. I tell the DLA.
Well, you're very noble. I don't think everybody would be like that, and it's and not everybody, and not everybody, and Jake, not everybody is aware that their body is deteriorating. Quite often, people, for example, with dementia, are unaware that they have dementia. There are people whose eyesight is very bad and they've just got used to it. They have compensation factors, so they are unaware that their eyesight has got bad. There are people whose reactions have slowed down, but they are unaware of that. And yet you get a letter through from the DVLA. You'd know better than me. I think it's every 3 years. Are you okay to drive, yes or no? That doesn't seem right.
If my optician tells me I'm okay to drive, and I'm 74, I'm very, very fit. My optician tells me that, because I wear spectacles, my optician says I'm still okay to drive, I will tell the DLA I'm okay. If they told me otherwise, I would say no, I'm not.
Does your optician test your reactions and your braking time?
No.
No. Who tests those things?
Who tests the reaction times and braking times of all these people who are smoking drugs then?
Oh, Jake, Jake,
just
leave...
go away, Ian. Go away.
He's not put the phone down properly. Jake, you've not put the phone down properly. Jake? I think he's done it now. Right. OK, that was interesting. It's interesting, isn't it, when you disagree with people, the reaction that you can take. Guys, if you're losing sleep because you're worried that everybody or most of the people in the country are smoking drugs, please don't worry. They're not. They're not. Jake, I really appreciate your call. Thank you. I do think you were a little bit reactionary on some of those things. And it's true, isn't it? And well done, Jake, for being noble enough that if the optician were to say to him, do you know what, Jake, I don't think your eyes are good enough for driving, he would declare it to the DVLA. Great. But who is testing his reaction times? Who is testing his braking times? And that's the thing, isn't it? When we get older, it's happening to me. I'm 41 in a couple of weeks. It's happening to me. My reactions are slowing down. My speed is slowing down. 03453 009956. Chris is in Castle Brom. Morning, Chris.
Morning.
What is it a ridiculous idea to suggest that older drivers are retested every year?
No, I think you bang on the money. I think absolutely. I think 67 is probably a little bit too early, but when you get to 70, probably every couple of years you need some kind of test, and it doesn't need. I don't think it has to need to be an actual driving test, pass or fail, like you do when you pass your test, because obviously when you've got to that age, you are going to pick up bad habits that you would never pass a test.
Yeah.
So, but it has to be an official assessment rather than a self-cert saying, yeah, I can drive, because as you pointed out, as you're getting older, some people might not even be aware that they're impaired. My nan, when she was getting older, I got in a car with her after, I hadn't been there for a while. I was like, geez, what was you? She shouldn't be driving anymore. So,
and I mentioned dementia, and I don't mention it lightly or flippantly. When my granddad got Alzheimer's, he was unaware he had Alzheimer's, and if I remember correctly, we had to take the car keys had to be taken away from him.
For sure.
And as your body deteriorates, you're not necessarily the best judge of the deterioration in your body, are you?
No, and to be fair, there's some shocking drivers on the road, whether they're young, old, male, female, doesn't really matter. There's some shocking drivers on the road. There is too many cars on the road, and it needs regulating better. So when you pass your driving test, you should not be automatically allowed to just get on the motorway.
No.
There, that should be a separate test in itself.
Oh, I totally agree with that.
So, so those things. And as far as old Jakey boy's concerned, there, quality phone call. I love listening to the show for them types of things. I work for a substance misuse charity, and
well, then you'll know that everybody's smoking drugs now, Chris.
Well, to be fair, that there probably are a lot of people smoking drugs, but they're probably not the ones that you really want to be that concerned about, because there's plenty of regulation around that and stuff like that. But actually, on our roads, the people that are prescribed medication is huge. So you've got lots and lots of people out there on prescribed medication that is it's not more debilitating for someone that's driving. So that's a whole nother. You've got a whole nother show there about.
Some of those antidepressants, they slow your reactions right down.
For sure, but people that are on pain management medication, they're on some serious tranquilizing.
Chris, I've got to move on. Thank you very much. A tweet from Dan at Iain Lee. Gosh, given that Jake thinks his reactions are top notch, it's concerning he failed to hang up properly. 03453 009956. This is why I enjoy. This is why I enjoy doing this show so much. Is we start off with one thing. And this came from Derek in Droitwich. We then move on to something else. We've started off talking about blue badges. Susan, we will get back to you about that. And now we're talking about Older people driving. Derek suggested that older people should have to have retests. I've brought in the age of 67. It's arbitrary. We could argue about the number, but the concept that older people should have regular retests, it's difficult to argue with, I think. If it makes the road safer, then what's your problem? 03453 009956. We've also gone into the discussion, thank you to Jake, is everybody smoking drugs? It's BBC WM 95.6. Let's get the travel with Liz.
Thank you, Iain. As you head to Middleton, we're getting reports of an accident on the A4091 around Church Lane near to Parkgate Farmhouse. Police tell us they are on the way to the scene. Still queuing in Kings Norton on Lifford Lane around Tunnel Lane, with congestion snaking back from there towards Pershaw Road. It seems quite a lot of people are heading for the tip this morning and having a clear out, therefore. As you make your way around Birmingham, the Hagley Road is looking busy in places towards Five Ways Island on the inbound side and passing Monument Road. The A45 around Sheldon is also looking a little congested, and it's starting to build in Oldbury on Wolverhampton Road by Birchley Island, just close to junction 2 of the M5. If you can update us, call BBC WM 95.6 Travel 08453 002288.
5 clues.
Hi, what's your name?
I'm Rich, how you doing?
Oh, yeah, Rich, and you work for Dudley Zoo?
Do indeed, yeah, Dudley Zoo.
To find one person in the West Midlands.
They're quite tall and lanky.
Oh, you having a laugh? You having a laugh?
He's eating away and there's a clue in the bowl.
Hunted.
With Richard Wilford.
This Sunday morning from 9. BBC WM
95.6.
Hey up, kid, it's Iain Lee, BBC WM 95.6, 03453 009956. Coming up, have you been involved in the green waste scandal of Birmingham? Have you been involved in this? The bin men are working overtime to... Imagine collecting bin rubbish today. And it's gorgeous weather out there. Imagine having to empty the bins. I mean, no, it's garden waste, but still, it's all manky and horrible, a lot of it. Have you been involved in that? Are you one of those people that's paid the £35 to get your green waste collected, only to find out that, well, hey, they're collecting everybody's green waste, whether they paid or not? Give us a call on that, 03453 009956. Let's go to Susan in Tamworth. Morning, Susan.
Good morning.
Sorry
Iain.
to keep you waiting for so long. What would you like to say?
Well, first of all, I'd like to say that I think people with blue badges deserve all the help that they can get. There are criteria to getting a blue badge.
Yeah.
It isn't just the fact of filling in a form and they send you a badge back. And I think people who demonise blue badge holders or the disabled should hang their heads in shame. They don't ask to be disabled. I'm sure that they would love to be able to jump in a car and drive and park in a normal parking space, jump out of the car, go around, do the shopping, and not have a blue badge.
Why should they get free parking in some places?
Why? Because disabled people do have added extra expense. They have to buy aids to help them get about. They're not able, many of them are not able to go out and applying for high-paid jobs. Disabled people
can do can work, can't they? They can.
Not all of them, Iain. Not all of them.
But a significant number can, and a significant number of them do have high-paid jobs.
Yes, they do. But, I mean, the free parking, I mean, you know, you're talking of a couple of pounds. I'm sure that they would rather not have a blue badge, and I think they deserve all the help they can get. And a lot of the people with blue badges are elderly people, and I do get annoyed sometimes because you hear remarks almost as though it's a crime to be elderly. I mean, you've made a very condescending remark this morning.
Which one of the condescending remarks would you like to pick me up on?
Well, when you said about them being retested for a driving test, and if they don't fail, they've got the bus passage, so what's the problem?
Is that condescending? It's factual, isn't it?
No, that's very condescending.
Tell me why.
because you're saying, so what if you lose your car, you can jump on the bus and go for free. To me, that is very, very condescending towards older people.
I don't think it is condescending because it's true. If they're not safe to drive, if people aren't safe to drive, then you would agree with me, Susan, wouldn't you? They shouldn't be driving.
I agree with you on that.
And the plus side on that for elderly people is they do have free transport, free public transport, free bus passes, so they can use that. It's not condescending. It's a statement of fact.
Well, no, it was a condescending way the way you put it. You went, so what? You get a free bus pass.
I didn't say
Susan.
I didn't say so what. I didn't say so what.
Well,
that would have been
the way
condescending.
it came across,
to you. You interpreted it as condescending, and I appreciate that. You made up it was condescending. If it sounded condescending, I apologise. I felt I was merely stating fact.
Well,
that if someone...
actually, your words were, you get a free bus pass, so what's the problem?
So what's the problem?
There is a big problem.
Tell me the problem.
Many people don't live on a bus route.
OK, but if they're not safe to drive, Susan, just because they don't live on a bus route doesn't mean they should have a car, does it?
No, I agree with you on that. I also think that...
So what's your problem?
The retesting is too early at 67 for the majority of people.
68?
No, I would put it at 70. And
okay,
also,
70. I'll give you 70.
Be retested after 3 years, and your doctor should give the go-ahead whether you're safe
The thing is, a lot at that age, the deterioration in the body, not for everybody, but for some people, really can be significant. And if you're going to, I'll give you they can start the retests at 70, Susan, but you give me they've got to be tested every year.
No,
come on, compromise. Come on,
Iain. I live with a 70-year-old man.
Gosh.
He doesn't look 70 and he doesn't act 70. But I think every 3 years, and your doctor should
okay, well, if you're not going
to... and give your disabilities if you have any.
But not every elderly person sees a doctor on a regular basis. Right, if you're not going to give me a retest every year, I'm going back to saying 67.
No, I'm sorry, I won't. You voted out. It's 17 tested every 3 years.
Susan, thank you. I've been voted out. Suddenly, this has become a democracy. When did that happen? Susan, thank you very much. Indeed, 03453 009956. Richard in Cosley's been on for ages. Morning, Richard.
Morning, Iain.
Richard, what would you like to say? Thank you.
Yeah, it's a good show this morning.
Are you smoking drugs right now?
Iain, I've got to pull Jakey boy up like what, it's just ridiculous. I mean, he's right in one respect, but not everybody, and you don't get it everywhere. You do smell it in a lot of places.
Oh, yeah,
yeah. You do smell it a lot more, but as for Jake to say everybody smokes it, they don't, Iain.
It was quite a generalisation, and he said everybody smokes it, and you smell it everywhere. You don't smell it everywhere. You really notice it when you do smell it, but you don't smell it everywhere.
It is because it is a very pungent smell.
Oh,
and
it's
you
stinky.
do know when it's around. And let me just go on to the driving here. I'll tell you an experience I've had this week. I've had a speeding ticket, right?
Oh, mate.
Well, it's okay, no problem, because as you know, Frank's been on the speeders awareness course, and I've got to do that as well.
Yeah. Oh, okay, that's good.
Because I'm a professional driver, I actually got took out yesterday by one of the company instructors, and I actually realised some of the faults while I'm doing. But like I say, I work, you can class it as a professional driver. I invite Jake to come and sit in the front of the vehicle with me on a daily basis.
Yeah.
Not just old people, all ages. No discrimination to anybody, all races, all people, female, male, ages. If you were to see some of the things what I see on a daily basis, you would not believe. And it's nothing to do with age, honestly. And I was actually talking to somebody, he used to be a driving instructor, and he was telling me when people have the test, the people who go out, like the examiners, they're not examiners, they are fault finders. And what he was saying to me, somebody can have a fantastic driving experience and they'll pass the test because they haven't had a fault, or they might have a few faults, but it doesn't make them a fantastic driver. No. They can do it on that day, and it's quite shocking, really.
Richard, I don't know if you heard Melissa. Melissa was telling us about her dad, who's he's blind in one eye. He's got no depth perception, and if he's parking in a new car park, he'll park in the disabled bay because he's scared he might scrape the car in an ordinary bay. Should people like that be driving?
I don't think so, Ian. No. I mean, are people aware that if you do wear glasses, you are supposed to declare it to the DVL as well?
I didn't know that, no.
Yeah, it's supposed to be on you. You're supposed to declare that you are wearing glasses.
Richard, thank you. I'm going to move on because I've got a few more calls to squeeze in. 03453 009956. People with visual impairments driving cars. I mean, I suppose it kind of depends what that is. If you're just wearing glasses, that's fair enough. Blind in one eye? I'm not sure how comfortable I feel. No depth perception? No depth perception and you're allowed to drive? That can't be safe. There's a kid there, he's 10 feet away. No, hang on, he's 100 feet away. No, 03453 009956. Richard's in Erdington. Richard, good morning, sir. What would you like to say?
Oh, morning, Ian. I've been waiting since 10 to 10 to speak to you.
It's a busy show this morning. We appreciate you waiting.
Not a problem, my friend. But first of all, let's address this correctly. Not the dress you was wearing a few weeks ago.
Yes. Right, come on, guys. Let's leave the dress, guys. Come on.
No, I'm the one who phoned up last week as well, dressed up for charities and everything.
Oh, yeah.
But, right, what I was going to say, for witnesses, there's a few points I've quick tried to make. There was a person who was trying to find a disabled bay. He could not find a disabled bay, and there was other cars parked that wasn't disabled. This person parked in the parents' and child space, and he got a parking ticket.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Oh, and did he have the blue badge in the window and everything?
Yes, he had the blue badge. He did appeal, apparently, and it took a while. He did ring his case as well.
Yeah. Well, that seems very unfair for that to be the case.
Yeah. The other thing is, I just thought that guy was very rude to you as well, putting the phone down on you.
Oh, that was
you're a great presenter. You do wind people up. But the other thing I want to say is about driving. Now, as you say, we all deteriorate. Now, I think we should all have a driving test after 10 years. Because diabetes is in increase, excessive vision and everything. People got diabetes have their eyes tested every 12 months. Now that should come into law.
Yeah.
And for the assessment for the blue badges, I mean, as you know, there was a long debate last year how long people was getting blue badges. There should be coordinated, what kind, so the parking inspectors know what kind of disability they've got, if they need wider spaces and et cetera, like that as well. But, I mean, we got to be careful what we're going to start saying because, as you know, there's a new thing called the Disability 8 crime as well.
Oh,
and
yeah.
people can start getting really offensive what's happening on the radar, you see.
No, you're absolutely right, Richard. And I have heard some, I think it was here, we heard some amazing stories the other week of disabled people, and actually it may have been in another life, of disabled people being abused and, being spat at and shouted at and stuff like that. It was somewhere else I did this. And so the story, maybe we'll do it as a phone in here one day, the stories you hear of the abuse that people get because they're in a wheelchair, or blind people getting shouted and spat at.
Yeah, but again, you got with the blind people, I mean, they do go through a big test as well, and we can't take people rights away from if they think they're liable to drive.
Hang on.
If anything happens, then,
blind.
It's a mad world.
Richard.
Sorry, wrong word. So slightly sighted.
I'm going to say, but if I don't want any blind people driving, I think we'd all agree with that, wouldn't we?
I did correct that straight away.
Yeah. Richard, thank you very much indeed. Let's go to Meg. Morning, Meg.
Hello, how are you?
I'm very well, Meg. How are you today?
Well, today I'm great, but I have been diagnosed with dementia, and I didn't know I'd got dementia, and I thought, good God, I'm driving, and in February I was 80. And I thought, that's long enough to drive. I've been driving for about 26 years. Never had an accident, not a bump or anything, so I thought I was very lucky. So what I did, I got home and I sent my licence back with a covering letter to the DVLA to say that I am giving up my licence freely because I don't feel I should be driving at this age. So that was that. I haven't heard a thing from DVLA, and I thought, well, they should have at least acknowledged it. Anyway, I had a blue badge as well. So the car has gone. I had a mobility car, and that was I've sent that back straight away. it hurt like mad, and it still does, because I feel if I could only jump in my car and just go shopping, that'd be fine. But I can't. So I feel that people should be very fair and say when you get to a certain age and you're not feeling solid, they should give up driving. And that's what I have done.
Meg, I'm sorry to hear you've been diagnosed with dementia. What made you go to the doctors?
Because I was losing things. I couldn't think of things, and names would go, and all that sort of thing. And then it got worse, and I went to the hospital, and this dear lady, she looked at me when I walked in the walk-in place. She looked and she said, "You've got dementia."
Oh, God.
Just like that, and I thought, my God, dementia. That worried me sick.
Yeah.
Anyway, I came out of there, and apparently I had, and she was right. So she obviously knew her study altogether. So anyway, the thing is, I have given mine up, and I'm free, and I'm going on the buses now.
Meg, can I ask, and if you don't want to answer this, tell me to jog on, but when you were diagnosed with dementia, was it in some ways almost a relief to kind of have a label for it explained what was going on with you?
No, it was hurtful.
Really? Yeah.
I thought, I'm not dementia. I thought, not me. I'm definitely not. And of course I had to calm down, didn't I?
Yeah.
So I accept what I am, and I'm grateful for my bus pass.
Well, Meg, I appreciate your honesty this morning, and thank you for making our roads safer.
Yes, I feel that way too.
Go and enjoy the nice weather.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much indeed. There we go. 03453 009956. Isn't that well done her? She's realised that you know what? Maybe she's not up for driving anymore. She's not up to scratch. Been diagnosed with dementia. She's got rid of her car and got rid of her driving licence. I'm trying to imagine what that must be like to be told you have dementia. 03453 009956. I mean, part of me, and Meg saying that wasn't the case for her, it is sometimes a relief to, when you know things are wrong, to have a label, to have a title for what it is. To be able to go, that explains that, I have this. But what a shock to the system to be told, you know what, your brain's not working properly. 03453 009956. We can carry on. The way this show works, and this is one of the many joys of this show, certainly for me, it may not be for you, is that we throw this stuff out there, and it's out there for the rest. We're not one of those shows that, right, that's the end of that hour, we will not be talking about that anymore. It's kind of like a conversation you'd have in a pub. You know, when you have a conversation with your mates, you don't go in with 3 questions, one for each hour. OK, gentlemen, it's 8 o'clock, so I'm going to ask you what you think about disabled parking bays. Right, it's 9 o'clock now, guys, so I'd like to know what you think about the Sepp Blatter. It's not how it works. It's organic. And what that means is you can come back in an hour's time and still talk about disabled parking bays or elderly people having driving tests or all of those things, OK? 03453 009956. But big local story that's been in it's been big news here on WM 95.6. Tons of garden waste left on the streets in Birmingham being collected today by bin men working overtime. Let's salute the bin men who are collecting rubbish in this heat. Nice one, guys. I don't envy you in the slightest. People who haven't paid an extra £35 a year to have it collected, but left it out anyway, and now it's rotting in the hot weather. James Mackay is the man who brought in these charges. He told Molly Green this morning that he understands why people who have paid are upset, but he wouldn't go as far as saying that they would get a refund.
I think we do need to be very mindful of the fact that people are now paying for this service and that we can't afford a regular and routine free collection anymore. And there's much greater awareness of the service and of the new arrangements than there was several months ago. But you've got a choice, haven't you? Where no resident is taking responsibility for garden waste that's been left out on the street, you can leave it there forever, I don't think anyone would find that an acceptable way forward. You can go back to a free service, but we know that we can't afford that anymore. Or you can take a balanced view and say, look, there's the communications work that's ongoing, there's the new service that's establishing itself, and while that work is going on, you can do some targeted clear-ups where you've got a problem. This is about a transition from one to another, not about an ongoing substitute service.
Oh, I'd love to hear from you if you paid the 35 quid and your next-door neighbour hasn't, and they're getting the service that you paid for. So is it a rolling thing, Producer Joe, that they would pay £35 every year? Every year? Well, surely, if you've paid it this year and your next-door neighbour hasn't, and they're still getting the same service, I would imagine, I'm not suggesting, I'm imagining you're not going to pay it next year. And I do think that Mr Mackay is wrong there. If they want this to work, then don't they have to be hard line about it? And if you haven't paid the £35, you shouldn't get the waste collected. And if the waste is still there and rotting, well, then you get a letter through your door saying you're responsible for this waste, clear it up, otherwise we'll take action against you. Don't they? The collection of green waste, by the way, 03453 009956. I can see the phone starting to ring. You're obviously very passionate about this. The collection of green waste has become, a very big political issue in the city now. John Hemming is the Liberal Democrat MP for Yardley. This is what he has to say about it.
So it's a question of priorities, and in Birmingham, they've got different priorities. Now, I'm pleased that they're actually starting to clear up the mess. It's sad that it had to wait until I applied to the court for that. But it's happening now. That's progress. The city is in a complete mess. It's absolutely awful, and it needs to be sorted out.
Well, the council says it can't afford to run the service for nothing anymore because of big cuts in the amount of money it gets from the government. But Rachel McLean, the Conservatives' prospective parliamentary candidate for Northfield, says there is a way to do it.
I mean, I'm absolutely shocked and angered, as I'm sure most of the local residents are. We would only have to save a small amount from some of the back office and the procurement functions that the council is spending the money on to be able to reverse this egregious charge on residents.
I love stories like this. This is fascinating. What should happen to the people who've paid 35 quid? Should they get their money back? Well, Sheena's paid the money for her green bin bags. Morning, Sheena.
Morning.
Sheena, you're in Green Bar. When did you pay your £35?
24th March.
OK, so you paid it a while ago. And what do you get for that £35?
To be honest with you, nothing but a hassle.
Oh.
I've had to contact councillors, even James Mackay. I've contacted him as well. Basically, I got my green bags on the 17th of April. Collection day was the 18th of April.
Oh, blimey, OK, so that's not much time at all.
No collection.
Oh.
I put 2 bags out, no collection. I let it go because I'd just got the bags. So I thought, OK, fair enough. Next collection date was 2nd of May. Put the bags out, no collection again. Called the waste department. At first I was told that I hadn't registered or paid. And when I got that sorted, they gave me a reference number and told me it would be collected within 48 hours. It wasn't. It was actually collected last Saturday because I got on to James Mackay.
Isn't it exciting? It's always a thrill when you know you've paid a bill and someone on the phone, the council or someone is saying, I'm sorry, Sheena, we have no record of you paying at all. You haven't paid. That's going to put you in a good mood, isn't it?
Well, it put me in a great mood. The thing is, it was paid by credit card, so I can prove it.
Good for you. Well done. So you've paid. And how regular are these collections supposed to be? Every 3 weeks? Every 4 weeks, is it?
I think it's every 2 weeks.
Every 2 weeks, OK.
Yeah.
OK. So it's taken a while for it to be collected. Well, it turns out now, Sheena, that whether you'd paid the £35 or not, it's going to be collected. How does that make you feel?
To be honest with you, I'm pretty gutted because I paid for this service. I paid for it because my husband has been ill and we physically can't take it to the tip. He had a thrombosis in his leg, so he can't walk so well. So I paid for the service.
Did you not question the fact that we all pay for this service anyway out of our council tax?
Well, yes, I did, but I was told that the council can't afford to do it now, and we need to put in a charge. To be honest with you, I thought 35 quid weren't a lot of money. I do compost my waste, but I have a small garden. There's only so much compost you can use.
There is, isn't there? You can have too much compost. I know the problem.
But the thing is, there's so many allotments that you could take the waste to where it could be composted. Why hasn't the council thought of this?
Do you know anybody, it maybe in your street or any friends, that haven't paid the £35?
I would say in my street, apart from myself and 2 other residents, no one has. And I'll tell you what goes on. They put it in black bags and it gets taken away.
Yeah.
Today, I have put out 8 green bags because they're going to apparently do a collection.
Yeah.
My bags are in the bags that I've bought and paid for.
Yeah.
So I'm going to wait and see if it gets collected.
I would imagine you feel you should get your 35 quid back.
Well, I want my 35 quid back.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, I bought and paid for the bags. I haven't had the service. I've had to email, text, phone, badger people all the time just to get what I paid for anyway.
Sheena, I appreciate your time this morning. Thank you. Does that situation sound familiar to you? Isn't it interesting? She reckons there's only about 3 or 4 people in her street that have paid the money. The rest haven't. And yet everybody in that street will probably get that green waste collected today. Does that seem fair to you? If you've paid the money, what should happen? If you haven't paid the money, what should happen? Jeanette in Harborne, are you a payer or a non-payer?
I am a payer.
So you paid the £35?
I have.
How has the service been so far?
Terrible. I've like the lady before. They've missed me twice. It's every fortnight.
Right.
And they have missed me twice. I rang up the first time and they took them 6 days. They did do it eventually. Friday, they didn't do it. They've done my neighbours. They are in the area, but they just missed the bin. I have assisted, but I did take it as far as I could.
Yeah.
And it was very visible, but that's the second time I've missed it.
And do you go out in the street and say, oi, you missed this?
Well, I wasn't around.
No, okay.
Otherwise I would have done.
Okay.
No, but it's really the same situation as the lady previously.
Did you phone up the council? What did happen when you phoned up the council?
Well, I rang up on the first miss, and they just said, I can't remember. Oh, they said they'll come and collect it, but that was Friday to about the Thursday. But that's fine. I did it eventually.
Yeah.
And so I thought it would be okay.
What do you feel about the people who haven't paid the £35?
Well, I think it's this is it's just awful, really, because it just shows the unintelligence of people. Did they not know that people would do that?
It seems to be, if the council are going to relent and say, we'll collect it all anyway, well, I would imagine that would put a lot of people off paying next year.
Of course it would.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a good service if it works, but it does not work because people will dump it.
Do you understand the situation that the council are in? James Mackay, the man who's brought in these charges, he said it's, there are cuts. We haven't got the money to collect this waste.
Yes, I do. It's just unfortunate you're dealing with people that will dump it. And, I mean, they should know that.
Jeanette, can I ask you a personal question, going off on a tangent? Have you got any kids at all?
Yeah, but not living here.
No. How many kids have you got?
2.
2. Which one's your favourite?
Oh, can't answer that.
Yeah, but you've got a favourite, haven't you?
Not really. No, one's a man and one's a girl.
And you prefer the boy, don't you? Mums prefer the boys.
Yeah.
You do, don't you?
Yeah.
And this is fascinating because I've got 2 boys, and do you know, at the moment I think I've got a favourite, and I feel terrible, Jeanette, for having a favourite son. But I've been talking to some friends, and they've gone begrudgingly. They've gone, oh yeah, there's one I prefer over the other.
Oh right.
And you prefer the boy, do you?
Not really, no. For different reasons. You're putting me on the spot.
I know I am. I'm being terribly unfair, Jeanette. You're a good sport. Thank you. I think I've got a favourite son. I'm not going to say which one it is. Maybe I'll say later. And again, I'm just sorry. This just popped into my head as a thought. If you've got kids, and we'll do this as a little side thing. If you've got kids, have you got a favourite? I bet you have. You'll be sitting there going, oh, no. How could... Well, actually, do you know what? Stephen is better behaved than Susan, and sometimes she can be a right... Stephen. If they're in the back of the car, don't tell them. If you're in the car listening as a family, don't turn around and go, it's you. You're my favourite. I don't like you as much, because that will cause problems later on in life. They don't need to know, okay? But just kind of have that bubbling away. If you're brave enough to call up and tell me who your favourite is and why, 03, you can change your name. 03453 009956. You can text in anonymously if you want. If you prefer, 81333, start your text WM. The reason I became aware of this is because I've got a sister, an older sister. I am my mum's favourite. And it's been obvious throughout my whole life. My sister's older than me. When she passed a driving test, she was not allowed to use my mum's car. When I did, I was. And it kind of has progressed from there. Are you... Yeah, she did hate me for it. She resented me for it terribly. Are you your parents' favourite? And if you're a parent, be honest with me. Who's your favourite kid? 03453 009956. Arthur, Mary, we'll come to you about green waste in a second. It's 10:45. It's BBC WM 95.6. Let's get the travel with Liz.
Iain, thank you. We are getting reports of an accident in Lichfield on the A5 as you head around Wall Island. Of course, there's roadworks going on around there as well, so it's looking a little bit busy anyway, but police are on the way to the scene. Also, reportedly an accident in Tamworth on the A51 by Two Gates on Dost Hill Road. Again, officers are going to the scene to investigate. In Middleton, the A4091 is partially blocked both ways. That accident at Church Lane, although traffic is able to squeeze by without too much of an issue. You'll find through Kings Norton is still queuing around Lifford Lane and the congestion back to Pershaw Road. A lot of people, it seems, heading to the tip today. And as you head in and out of Birmingham, still slight congestion as you head along Hagley Road towards Five Ways Island. But it's looking better in Albury on Wolverhampton Road by Birchley Island. If you can update us, call BBC WM 95.6 Travel 08453 002288.
Penn, Pensnet,
Rugeley, Redditch,
Rowley Regis. Have your say across the West Midlands.
BBC WM 95.6.
Is anybody going to be brave enough to tell me they've got a favourite child? Just think about it, mums and dads. I know it's painful to think about it, isn't it? Oh, it's uncomfortable, but we have favourite people. I'm sure you've got a favourite parent. My mum was always my favourite. There you go. You've got favourite grandparents. You've got favourite friends. So why shouldn't you have a favourite child? It's awkward to think about, isn't it? But do. And if you're brave enough, come on. 03453 009956. 03453 009956. Or you can text me anonymously, 81333. Start your text W1. Back onto the subject of the Birmingham £35 green waste scandal. Extra bin men are out and about. It's not really a scandal at all, is it? Out and about, collecting extra green waste today. Maybe you've paid 35 quid for it. Apparently the service hasn't been that great so far. And if your next door neighbour hasn't paid the £35, well, they're still going to get the same service that you've paid for. Is that fair? Should you get your money back? Arthur, I'll come to you in a second. Let's go to Mary. Morning, Mary.
Oh, good morning, Ian. This is Mary in Handsworth.
Hello, Mary in Handsworth. What would you like to say?
Well, I have the same problem as the two previous ladies with the green bin. I paid my £35.
Yes.
And the first two collections, the first one, the collected is in the middle of the next week, which should have been on the Friday previous.
Oh.
Then that was by telephone in Birmingham City Council.
Yes.
And last Friday they hadn't emptied again, so I'm stuck again with it. And what really has annoyed me is the big green wagon come down the road this morning, so I went out to speak to them and they said, don't worry, we'll empty it for you.
Yeah.
They went down the road, collected all the green bags, carried on back up again and left Mary and didn't bother.
Oh, well, why did they not bother with yours?
I don't know. Because I couldn't catch them up the road. They were gone that fast, you know.
Yeah.
I don't know why. But I spoke to a lady MP, and she said she will get on and get it sorted for me. Because like, you're wheeling it out, you're wheeling it in, and it's a pain, you know. And I wish now, to be honest with you, seeing what's gone on today, that I never paid my £35.
Well, if you hadn't have paid the £35, Mary, you'd be getting the same, if not a better service.
I would, yes, I would, definitely.
Should you get your money back?
I should, yeah.
Doesn't look like you're going to at the moment. At the moment, we don't know, but at the moment...
To be fair, I don't begrudge £35 because I've got quite a bit of hedge of gardens, and I have to get rid of it, like, you know. My son can help me, but he's a very busy man, and I don't want to be bothering him all the time.
Yeah.
So I just like to be independent and do my own thing. But I am not a happy bunny. No way. No.
Okay, well,
just like the other two ladies. I phoned the council yesterday afternoon when I came from work, and I could not get through. I was on the phone for about half an hour, and nobody spoke to me. It was all press 1, press 2, press this, that, the other, you know, so I gave up in the end.
Oh, do you know, whenever I get the press 1, press 2, I press the star button about a dozen times.
All right.
And that generally, doesn't always work, but that generally takes you to a human being.
Right. Oh, that's a good idea. I'll know that the next time.
Give that a go next time, Mary. Thank you. It doesn't always work. Who was I phoning the other day and I needed to get to... I was phoning Sky, and I needed to get to human being, and I pressed the star button. It didn't work. But quite often it does. Quite often it does. On the subject of who is your favourite child, Miss S has tweeted me, the middle one tends to be the favourite child. That's why the last ones are so spoilt, to hide the fact they're not the favourite. Yeah, that makes sense. Carpet Martin says, I don't have kids, but I do have 2 cats. One I love, the other I despise. That's not the same, though, is it? Although I do hate it. Well, it's not technically the same. Arthur's in Northfield. Good morning, Arthur.
Good morning.
Arthur, what would you like to say?
Well, I think, personally...
Arthur, are you anywhere near your telephone? Are you in the same room as your telephone?
It's on my car.
Right. Could turn the radio off.
Yeah.
Right. Oh, flipping it.
Yeah. Can you still hear me?
I can hear you. Now I can hear you. Beautiful.
Oh, I do apologise.
Welcome to the conversation, Arthur.
Yeah, thank you. What it is, I think this green bag is absolutely a waste of time, because I haven't got a green bag. I haven't got a bin. One, I don't think I should pay for the amount of council tax we pay. It makes me laugh with the council, because at the end of the year, the financial year, they go out there and they waste the money doing this, that and the other, so they can get rid of it, so they can get the next budget. But with the green bag, I won't pay it, because a lot of people now, all they're going to do is encourage fly tipping.
Hey, do you know what? I hadn't thought of that. That's a pretty good suggestion. That it's going to make things worse. Because fly tipping, I hate it. Why would anybody do it? But I suppose if their green waste isn't being collected, and they can't be bothered to go to the tip or the recycling centre or the dump or whatever we call it these days, then some unscrupulous people might be tempted to just drive half a mile away and dump it, by the side of the road.
Well, that's what's happening, because at the moment you go to the tips, and the queues are so long that people get a little bit agitated and think, I'm not sitting there waiting for this lot. So then they go out and they fly tip it, and then the council have still got to go out, they've still got to pick it up, they've still got to dispose of it. So why do all this? Because there's a lot of pensioners out there, not just us, but there's pensioners out there that can't afford this £35. So why should they be penalised? They've worked hard all their life, they put money into the system, and now they want more money out of them. If they was to use, these councils use the money that they're given and use it properly instead of wasting it and squandering it. I mean, the bin men, I'll be honest with you, I've said this for years, I wouldn't pay them people in washers. You know, I put my rubbish out, I put my cardboard out, and I put a box out that had a lamp in it, and they took all the cardboard apart from this box. It was about 2 foot high by about 8 inches square.
Yeah.
And when I went out, they left it, and when I phoned up the council, they turned around and told me that what it was because it was too big. So, because I complained, they sent a truck out with 2 workers in it to pick up a box.
Arthur, so hang on a second, we're running out of time. You're saying that people shouldn't pay the £35. Mike's in Southern Cove. Mike, you're suggesting, I think, that people should pay the money.
Pardon?
Mike, are you suggesting that everyone should pay the £35?
Well, I think it should be a level playing field for everybody, but the point is I don't really see why people should pay things when they're already paying rates. I mean, if you look, I come on the Lichfield, and basically we don't pay anything. We have a cracking service. where the brown bins are picked up every fortnight, as regular as clockwork. It's a system that they've tied up with Tamworth salvage people, so it's obviously two councils working together. But my point with Birmingham City Council,
yes,
the councillor was right. If you took some of the high salaries that the people get for doing nothing, some of them are getting £150,000, £200,000, drop them down by 20%, which I would do tomorrow. It would more than pay for this service. And the other thing is, Birmingham City Council, I think 3 years ago, wrote off £88 million worth of unpaid rates that people hadn't paid. And each year, they're constantly writing off tens of millions of pounds for people who constantly do not pay their rates. So they should get tough with those people, and then it would pay for all these services and people that they're putting out of work at the lower end, the people who we need every day to do those services.
Mike, thank you very much for that. 03453 009956. I don't know the exact figures of what various members of Birmingham City Council earn, but it is amazing that in some councils, it may or may not be the case here, but that some council leaders earn more than the Prime Minister. That happens in places, doesn't it? That strikes me as very, very odd. 03453 009956. Have the bin men been to your street today? Have you seen them today? We should have a little update as to where they've been. Have they collected your green waste yet? Give us a call, let us know. Ron's in King's Standing. Morning, Ron.
Morning.
Have they been to your street yet, Ron?
No, I'm actually looking at green waste bags as we speak.
OK, so there's no sign of them?
They've not been, no. But can I just say, does anybody actually realise why they're doing it this weekend? Why the council decided to do this one-off free collection?
Oh, go on, why?
Because there's an election on Thursday.
Oh, Ron, you're so cynical. That couldn't be the reason, could it?
Well, I mean, you know, it seems a bit unusual to me that they've suddenly decided to do a one-off free collection just a few days before an election. But like you said, I'm probably just being cynical.
Should I kind of think, part of me kind of thinks, Ron, although there are pluses and minuses to this, if they want to enforce the £35 a year fee, then they've got to be quite hard line on the people that haven't paid the £35. And they've got to say, look, you've got rubbish there, you've got to clear it. They've got to start sending letters out saying it's your responsibility, otherwise you'll be fined, haven't they?
Well, yes, but I mean, this tax is unfair. It's an unfair garden tax. We pay rates, we shouldn't have to pay it again.
Ron, thank you. It's an unfair garden tax. There we go. Ron should be working for a newspaper. An unfair garden tax. Have you paid the money? And we've heard from a couple of callers. If you've had a good service for this £35, do let me know. I'm not one of those people that continually wants to knock councils. If you've had a good service from the council, then let's big them up. But we've had a few people saying, well, I've paid the £35. They don't even know that I've paid, and the rubbish, the garden waste has not been collected. Has that been your situation? And have the bin men come today? 03453 009956 is the phone number. Let's do a couple of texts. This charge for removing the garden waste will go up every year. At what price will people stop paying it? Jay says, Iain, you're great in that video. Oh, that's the dancing video. The Brum Moves. Do go and have a look at it. It's on YouTube and it's on the BBC WM 95.6 website. It's good. But my criticism is I'm not in it enough. When I was asked to do it, listen, I'll be honest, I was a little bit grumpy. I was sending producer Joe text saying, I don't want to do it. I'm going to look like a plum. And then, of course, I remembered I'm actually an excellent dancer. And I've got a few pretty funky moves up my sleeve. And they came out of my sleeve into my legs. And I impressed a lot of the dancers there. They asked me to join the dance troupe. I said, guys, I'd love to, but, listen. I'm only in it for a second. What was that all about? I got 40 minutes of my day I gave up for that. I know I'm in it more than any other presenter, and I think that says a lot about the calibre of dancing in the BBC WM 95.6 gang. But I would have hoped for a little bit more of me. That's all. My granddad told me I'm his favourite grandchild. I was my mum's favourite. My daughter is mine. Daughter, can I tell you how they spelt the word daughter? D-O-R-T-A. That's an unusual spelling of daughter. I'd never even considered it like that. The bin men being paid overtime to remove the green waste. They're sat at the cafe on Moneyhull Hall Road as they have been for over an hour now. Really? Well, it's a hot day. Come on, give those guys. It's not their fault. We can't have a go at them. I don't know if people realise, no disrespect to the bin men, but they're getting paid per hour. What I've paid for this service. Good luck to them. Take it while you can. I paid twice now. All that happens is it gets dumped. 03453 009956. Coming up in the next hour, at what age should we let our children play computer games? I've got a real issue with CBeebies at the moment. Love to hear your stories. We'll talk in a few minutes.
With full commentary of every Warwickshire cricket game this summer, exclusively online, bbc.co.uk/WM.
The voice of Birmingham and the Black Country.
BBC WM 95.6.
It's 11 o'clock. Let's get the latest news now with Nicole Pullman.
Tons of garden waste left on the streets of Birmingham is now being collected by binmen working overtime. People who haven't paid an extra £35 a year to have it picked up have left it out anyway, and it's now rotting in the hot weather. James Mackay is the man who brought in the charges, and he told Molly Green this morning on BBC WM that he understands why people who have paid are upset, but he wouldn't go as far as saying they would get a refund.
I think we do need to be very mindful of the fact that people are now paying for this service. But you've got a choice, haven't you? Where no resident is taking responsibility for garden waste that's been left out on the street, you can leave it there forever. I don't think anyone would find that an acceptable way forward. You can do some targeted clear-ups where you've got a problem. This is about a transition from one to another, not about an ongoing substitute service.
There's been a big increase in the number of people in England being prosecuted for using blue disabled badges when they're not entitled to. The Local Government Association says the figure has more than doubled in the last 3 years. Claire Pelham is the Chief Executive of Leonard Cheshire Disability.
They're actually stealing the independence of another disabled person who might want to park opposite the chemist because they need to pick up a prescription. They can't walk far without support. They've stolen their independence. They can't park their car. They can't pick up their prescription. They can't live the life that we as a country want to support them to live.
Jubilant crowds have welcomed India's new Prime Minister, Narendra Modi, to Delhi after the overwhelming election victory by his party, the BJP. Mr Modi, who's risen from tea seller to leader of more than 1 billion people, is now at party headquarters after a long victory procession from the airport. These people were among the thousands who turned out to greet him.
Normal people, the youth, especially youth, expecting a lot from the Narendra Modi, and Narendra Modi will do for us. Narendra Modi Zindabad! Narendra Modi Zindabad!
I think it's clearly a very clear Mr. Modi tsunami. You can see the jubilation of the workers. It's very apparent. This is about the economy.
This is a tribute to the leadership of Mr. Narendra Modi.
Boxing, and the young block switch boxer Luke Paddock extended his perfect professional record to 7 wins from 7 fights at Walsall Town Hall last night. He comfortably beat his Bulgarian opponent Christian Dotchev on points as part of a card covered live on BBC WM. Paddock says it was always going to be hard to win inside the distance, but he always felt in control.
It's nice to get the rounds in, but I don't think I was ever going to stop him. He's a tough cookie, but as you can see, a few rounds. I'm a boxer, and, you know, I can outbox. When I want to box, I can really box.
The weather, another fine, dry and warm day today, and a top temperature of 22 Celsius, 72 Fahrenheit. A dry evening and night with mist and fog in places, and an overnight low of 9 Celsius, 48 Fahrenheit. BBC WM 95.6 News. There's more online at bbc.co.uk/WM.
Oh, thank you very much. I've just realised I'm about to hit the wrong button, but never mind.
Have your say.
Across the West Midlands, call
03453 00 9956.
BBC WM 95.6.
There was a real panic there as I saw the computer wasn't ready. And it's not my fault, it's yours, Producer Joe. We'll have words afterwards, it's fine. There was nothing I could do about it. But luckily, I am so professional, I've fixed it now.
The Voice.
The Voice of Birmingham.
Oh, no, I haven't. Here we go. Yes, I have.
You should take in other religions and treat them as you would want to be treated yourself.
We are even more intelligent. They treated me with the utmost respect.
Iain Lee, Saturdays
9 till 12.
There we go.
BBC WM 95.6.
No one noticed. Morning, this is Iain Lee, BBC WM 95.6. Here every Saturday between 9 and 12. Just lots to talk about. What have we talked about so far? Let's have a little recap. We talked about blue badges, the abuse of blue badges. Are there too many disabled parking bays? We then got on to talking about people driving who can only see in one eye. Then, thank you to Derek in Droitwich, who brought up the subject of older people having to do retests. And this, to me, makes perfect sense. From the age of 67 onwards, you should have to do a retest on your driving test every single year, because the body starts to deteriorate at that age. Not everybody's body deteriorates, of course not, but I think there are a significant number of older drivers who shouldn't be driving. It's hard to disagree with making the roads safer, isn't it? And that's all I want to do, guys. That's all I want to do. 03453 009956. The Birmingham green waste situation. If you've paid 35 quid to have your green waste collected and your next door neighbour hasn't, and they're still getting the same service, well, how does that make you feel? Should you get your money back? And in this hour, I want to talk to you about video games. Maybe you're a parent or a grandparent and then there are young children. At what age should you let your young children start to play video games? My boys are 4 and 2. They watch a lot of CBeebies and they advertise the CBeebies website saying you can go on there and play games. And it makes me very uncomfortable. I don't want my boys at 4 and 2 to be aware of video games. Am I being a bit oversensitive? I need some help on this one. 03453 009956.
Have your say.
Across the West Midlands, call
03453
009956.
BBC WM 95.6.
I'm not anti-video games. I have made a significant part of my income in the past from video games. I did a documentary about them. I did a terrible TV series about them. I like video games. I enjoy playing them myself. I just don't want my boys at 4 and 2 to necessarily be aware of them. And CBeebies advertising them during the links. So when the presenters come on, when Andy or Katie or Alex come on, who I've got a lot of time for, they're all brilliant. When they advertise the video games, I have a problem with that. I have an issue with that. It's not so bad because I can kind of avoid it. But what CBeebies have started doing this week, and if you're a parent, maybe you've noticed it, they've started advertising the video games while the programmes are on. So if Grandpa in My Pocket is on, or Tree Fu Tom, there's a little thing pops up on the screen saying, oh, you can come and play our video game online now. I'm not convinced that that's the way forward. In fact, I find it quite annoying. I'm really disappointed by CBeebies. We did contact CBeebies and asked them to come on. They said no, which is a shame, because it's a great channel. If you've got kids, it's a cracking channel. But I think what they're doing is inappropriate. Give us a call on that, 03453 009956. Bill, Eddie, stay there. I'll come to you in a second, but Mick's been waiting the longest. Mick, what would you like to say?
Well, I've got rather a few comments to make on the various things you've been talking about. But the first one is this taking a test at 70 and accusing the 70-year-old drivers of being in need of taking a test, when the insurance quotes you hear from and the bits on the paper about who's the worst drivers are 18 to 45-year-old young men.
Wow, Mick, may God bless you for thinking that 45-year-old men are young. I'll have that, thank you.
Well, they're young when you're 69, I can tell you that much.
Well...
But you go on as though everybody who's 69, 70 and over are wasting space. Well, we're not.
Well, no, Mick, Mick, with the greatest respect, I haven't said that. And if you've,
Well, you're implying it.
no,
then.
I'm not, Mick. No, I'm not implying it. And actually, I'm a little bit offended that you think you've heard that, because that's not what I've said. All I want to do is make the road safer for my kids. We know it is a fact that people's bodies start to deteriorate when they are older. It's a fact. You can't deny that. Some quicker than others. And if it makes the road safer for older people to have new driving tests, then surely we have to do it. At the moment, all you get is a letter every couple of years, every 3 years from the DVLA. Are you OK to drive, yes or no?
Well,
come on, Mick, that's not good enough, is it?
I'm not saying that's correct at all. What I'm saying is, if you're going to do it for the people who are 70 and over, then why doesn't everybody have to have a test, say, after 3 years?
Because their bodies haven't deteriorated, Mick. That's what I'm referring to.
There's a good number of them whose bodies have never achieved the standard of driving required not to have accidents then, isn't there?
Well, no, they've passed the driving test, so they've reached the required standard. Their bodies haven't yet started to deteriorate. And if their bodies did deteriorate because of a condition or an illness, then I would hope they would have the sense to report it, or a family member would report it.
So the insurance companies are not telling the truth then when they say that the most dangerous drivers on the road are 18 to 45-year-old young men.
It doesn't matter who's the most dangerous. What matters is when danger is increased. And if the body is deteriorating, if your eyesight is deteriorating, if your reaction time is slowing down, which it does when you get older to a significant number of people, then we need to be aware of that, and we need to factor that in terms of road safety, don't we?
Well, you've admitted yourself. You've discounted the most dangerous.
No, I've not, Mick. Mick, I've not. That's a separate. Mick, I've not. That's a separate issue, and that should be looked into as well. I think that driving at 18 is too young. I don't think you should be allowed to drive until you're 21. But that's a separate issue. We're talking specifically about the physical deterioration of older people.
So I ride motorcycle trials, pre-65 motorcycle trials. Do you understand that?
You ride a motorbike?
You've heard of them, have you?
You ride a motorbike. I've heard of motorbikes, yes.
Yes.
They're the two-wheeled ones with an engine, aren't they?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know a motorbike,
I ride them in off-road motorcycle trials.
Good for you. Do what you want off-road. I couldn't care less.
Yeah. Well, I have to drive to the back of Beyond in my van with my motorcycle in it to enter a trial. When I get there, round Leicestershire way, there are dozens of people who are over 70 who have drove miles with trailers on their vehicles, driving vans, driving campers, ride motorcycles off-road where your reactions have got to be very quick, else you end up on the floor, and they're quite capable of doing it. Against younger men, some of them are only 14-year-old lads, and we all compete together.
Right, listen, Mick, what you do off-road, I couldn't care less, because there's not a chance that my child...
for instance.
Well, no, you shouldn't, because there's not a chance that my child will be walking across an off-road motorcycle track.
You're accusing people of my age and older of not having the reactions to be able to control a vehicle. That's what you're doing.
Mick, if you want to put your own life at risk on an off-road motorcycle track, then, sir, I wish you the very best of luck. I'm concerned about roads.
Yeah, well, I've driven on the road since I was 16. I drove a Bomb minicar, which is a three-wheeled motor vehicle, which you can drive on a 16-year-old's licence, motorbike licence. I had one accident when I was an 18-year-old hooligan, which was my fault. I'm now 69, I haven't had an accident in between. And you're telling me I can't drive? I've drove around Donington Park in my Ferrari.
That's a racetrack, is it?
Speed.
That's a racetrack.
I know it's a racetrack.
Mick, you're not listening. I couldn't care less what risks you put yourself in when on an off-road track. Doesn't bother me in the slightest. I honestly, good luck to you. Go and do that at the age of 95 if you want. I couldn't care less. But when you're driving on public roads, and it does have an impact on my life and my children's life, then yes, I do care. And I'm surprised that you would question the fact that we should be making the roads safer. And one way we can do that, is we know that older people's bodies physically deteriorate. That's a fact.
Yes.
So we should be keeping an eye on that, and we're not at the moment, are we?
Well, at the moment, I drive a diesel X-type Jaguar, right? It's an X-type Jag. It's an automatic gearbox, power steering. Now, if I've got half the strength I've got at the moment, I could drive that car perfectly capable. My eyesight's perfectly good. And you're writing me off along with everybody else who's
No,
70.
I'm not, Mick. I'm not writing you off. I'm giving you the opportunity to go and have a test and prove your worth. And if you pass it, well congratulations.
I'll go and have a test. Yes, I'll go and have a test if that's the case.
Well, then what's your beef?
But it should be the same for everybody who drives on the road. Every 3 years, have a driving test.
Mick,
if you're not capable of driving, chuck them off the road. I quite agree with you.
Mick, were there any other points you wanted to make?
Well, yes, there was the one about the green bins. I don't think that's fair, charging some people and then not charging others.
Who's that in the background?
Pardon?
Who's that in the background?
I haven't got anybody in the background.
I can hear somebody whistling.
I don't know who that is.
Have you got birds? Have you got birds in your house?
No, we've got birds in the garden.
Well, they're very, very loud, Mick. I can hear them.
Probably at the feeders that are just outside the back door.
Have you got nuts or fat balls out?
The fat balls and nuts, yeah.
Yeah. So Mick's got his nuts and his fat balls out, and the birds are having a nibble. Good for them. It's the weather for it.
That's very good. Yes.
Mick, thank you very much indeed. Daniel Cartwright has tweeted us. This will only make sense if you're listening to the first hour of the show when we had a gentleman saying that he parked in the disabled bay and he got a chicken on his car. I think he may have meant ticket. But Daniel has tweeted a wonderful picture I've just retweeted at Iain Lee or at BBCWM. Gutted. My wife only left the car for 5 minutes and look what happened. There's a chicken on the front of his car. Hashtag chicken on the windscreen. Thank you, Daniel. Isn't it terrible that happens? 03453 009956. Bill, Eddie, stay there. Kevin will come to you in a second. They want to talk about cars. And also, I want to talk about video games. At what age would you let your children or your grandchildren play video games? It's 11:15. It's BBC WM 95.6. Let's get the travel news now. Here's Liz.
Thank you very much, Ian. We are just getting word of a vehicle which has broken down on the slit road that runs by the A38 as you head through the Queensway tunnels. It's on the overground bit going between Paradise Circus and Holloway Circus. So just along that stretch, a vehicle has broken down. It's causing a bit of congestion. Thank you to Tommy who contacted us. The A5 around Lichfield is partially blocked by Wall Island. This is because of an accident. Recovery has already started. Police at the scene. Traffic seems to be coping okay. There are roadworks around there as well. In Wanacott, the A51 Dost Hill Road is partially blocked both ways. An accident there at the Whitting turn. Recovery work has already started. It is a little bit busy. And still problems in Middleton. The A4091 partially blocked both ways because of an accident at Church Lane. Still queuing through Kings Norton. A lot of traffic heading towards the tip around Lifford Lane and Tunnel Lane. The congestion back to Pershaw Road. If you can update us, call BBC WM 95.6 Travel 08453 002288.
Celebrate the faces, voices, music and dance of Birmingham and the Black Country. Brum moves.
This is our time.
It's like a community around here. Oh, they're lovely we haven't been.
Really a nice place to be.
Watch the Brum Moves video online now at bbc.co.uk/WM.
The voice of Birmingham and the Black Country.
BBC WM
95.6.
Maybe thank you very much. Maybe, just maybe, I studied performing arts at university for 3 years, and that's why I've got some wicked dance skills. It's a good video. It's very, very funny. Very funny indeed. Highlight of me was being stood in Birmingham in the city centre watching UB40 and Adrian Goldberg. That's ticked off the bucket list. That's been ticked off. Adrian was, he was kind of dancing. Here's a little bit of showbiz gossip. He had to put down a massive cheese pie to do the dance. He had a massive cheese pie. It's good. It's a cracking video. It's very, very funny, and it's brilliantly done. And well done to everybody who took part in that. We'll talk about video games in a minute. We're also asking, who is your favourite child? I know it's a tough one. It's a tough one to answer, but come on, you've got a favourite, haven't you? Catherine has tweeted me, I carefully spread having the children. So one is now an adult, and I can have a favourite kid and a favourite grown-up. 4 years left, #help. OK. 03453 009956. Who's your favourite kid? Let's go to Eddie. I'll come to you in a second. Bill's in Northfield. Good morning, Bill.
Good morning, Ian.
Bill, what would you like to say, sir?
Your program's really made me angry today.
Thank you.
Really angry. I've been driving for a long, long time, and since I was about 18, and I'm now 70, and I've never had accidents. Also,
how old? Sorry, Bill. How old are you?
I'm 70.
70. Okay.
I'm also a diabetic. I hold a green badge, blue badge, and all.
What's a green badge?
A blue badge.
Oh, sorry.
Blue badge. I made a mistake. Blue badge.
Ever had a chicken on your windscreen?
No.
No.
But I'm diabetic. I have to have a 3-year licence every 3 years. Renew that. I've also just been to the doctors, and I had a test to see whether I was nuts or I was all right in my head.
Are you nuts or all right?
No, I'm fine.
Are you sure, Bill?
My nuts are all right, but my head's not.
Oh, blimey. Okay.
No, I mean, I'm all
Because
right.
I've got to be honest. Here at the BBC, Bill, we have a little alarm. It's a silent alarm that flashes when we get a call that's bonkers, and it's kind of going on and off as you're speaking. So I don't know. Maybe the alarm's broken.
Oh, yeah, I know.
Well, maybe. All right. Okay.
Yeah, well, perhaps I've got a little alarm that tells me the same with you.
Yeah, I bet it has.
But anyway, as I was saying, I've got a blue badge as well. It annoys me when people park in the parking spaces, preferably people who have not got one. Yeah. And I've seen it loads and loads of times, get out of the car and everything else. You're not really supposed to go shopping unless the person is with you who is disabled. To just use that badge any time. Yeah. They've got to be with you.
Yeah.
Also,
because we had a fella, we had Barry, didn't we? Who phoned up and said he uses his wife's badge to go and buy biscuits.
But not allowed to.
No. Okay.
That's actually that's not on. Also.
Yes.
About taking a test every when you're 67.
67 every year. You should take a test every year because your body is deteriorating. You can't disagree with that, Bill.
Well, let's make it fair all the way round. Everybody who's passed a test should take a test every 10 years when they're young.
Yeah, go on, I'll give you that. I'll give you that. Yeah, fine.
Right,
why not?
10 years, because their body's getting older and older all the time.
Every 10 years, Bill, I'll give you that.
Every 10 years, right?
That's a good one.
Yeah, and the point is, and also, I'm not being nasty or anything like that.
But
I've gone up the Bristol Road to the Lickies. I travel up there quite a few times.
Good lad.
And all the time I see flowers wrapped round trees.
Oh, yes.
Whether they are drivers or they're not
the
drivers.
roadside memorials, yes.
Yeah. They're more so that they are youngsters because they put pictures there. They are youngsters that have got killed.
No, but
not all the elderly people who've been driving.
Bill, by the way, the roadside memorials, that's a phone-in for another day. I'm not totally sure I approve of those. But those pictures of the young people, they've generally been hit by a car.
Not necessarily.
No, not necessarily. Not necessarily, but generally they are pedestrians that have been hit by a car as opposed to car crashes. They're generally pedestrians, so you can't really extrapolate from that.
You get it all the time. You get road rages all the time with different ages and everything else. I've had people really come up, pull right in front of me, stop the car right in front on the main road, and get out of the car and have a go at me. And youngsters.
Yeah, well, Bill, I can counter that. I had a fella, right, this was when I lived in North London years and years ago, about 5 years ago. I had a fella who thought I'd slighted him. He thought I'd cut him up. I hadn't. He was just driving like an idiot. He pulled up in front of me in the middle of the road. He was in his 70s. Got out of his car. He was furious. He had, spittle all over his mouth. If you ever do that again, I'll grab your keys and shove them right up your...
Well,
he was in his 70s.
You get it from all ages.
Yeah, exactly.
So I'm not saying it's
Should we test old people every year, yes or no?
No.
Right, hang on a second. Eddie, should we test old people every year, yes or no?
Well, yes, absolutely, because if
Explain it to Bill.
If you take your driving seriously, you're in charge of quite a weighty thing there. It can be a weapon in the hands of a nitwit, and usually is. People use their cars. They think they can bully everybody else out the way. I say, if the DVLA was to write to me and say, we've been thinking about giving people over a certain age a driving test every year, how do you feel about it? I'd say bring it on. But don't think for a minute that you're going to charge me for the privilege, because I take my driving seriously, always have done, HGV, PSV, I've got a car at the moment. I've got a motorbike at the moment. And motorcyclists tend to have a far better brain than car drivers anyway.
Hang on, I'm glad you turned around and said everybody, every year. Not just the elderly people, but everybody. Yes, fair enough, and don't charge you for it.
Exactly.
That's fair. That is fair.
You see, that I said over a certain age.
When you turn around and say that you... No, hang on.
Hang on a minute, mate. You've had 10 minutes already.
Yeah, but you've had your say as well.
Hang on a minute. I've been on less than a minute. You've had about 10 minutes. Just let somebody else have something to say, would you?
Don't let's argue, because that's, you know...
Well, you're still talking, actually.
Eddie, go on, make your point.
Flipping Ada.
Right, go on.
Ooh.
I said over a certain age. I didn't say everybody, so get his facts right.
Well, yes, you did.
No, I didn't. I said over a certain age.
All right, then.
Everybody over a certain age.
We're back to death, will we?
Well, they can play the transcript back to you.
Listen, let's assume that Eddie said everybody over a certain age. Would you agree with that, Bill?
No, I wouldn't. I would say everybody.
What?
Gordon,
put it fair.
Still talking.
Put it fair. Everybody should have a test.
Yeah, everybody. Okay, I've given you that one, Bill.
Another one.
Everyone should have a test every 10 years. I'll give you that. That sounds fair enough. I'm happy with that. But would you agree that over 67 and over, everyone should have a test once a year because their bodies are degenerating, their reactions are slowing down, their eyesight is going?
Ian.
Fair enough. Yes, you're right. Fair enough. I'll give you that.
Ian.
Yes, but the point.
Hang on, Eddie.
The point is that. Everybody should have that test, but not be charged for it. Why should you have to be charged all the time? Because they're going to charge you anyway.
If you want to drive, you've got to pay for the privilege. Eddie, what were you saying?
Yeah, but if you're disabled, you cannot afford to do that all the time.
Bill, hang on a second.
Gordon Bennett, and he's still talking.
Eddie, what would you like to say?
Yeah, exactly. I don't know why I bother, actually, Ian, because whenever I come on radio West Midlands, I'm always shot off within 2 minutes, and you get these other clowns that can talk forever.
Oh, thank you very
much. And
they're allowed
to.
Eddie, you've got... Bill, be quiet.
I don't people.
I don't know, be quiet. I don't want Eddie to shoot off. I want him to finish in his own times. Eddie.
As far as I'm concerned, there is a lot of bad drivers out there, and statistics show that. You've got these roadside memorials, quite rightly, they're not always car drivers, they're people that have been hit by people who don't take their driving seriously. You see, what people don't understand, they think it's their right once they've got a driving licence. It's not their right. There's millions of people in this country driving all sorts of vehicles every day of the week, and it's not their right, it's a privilege. That's why you have a licensing system. The government have got a responsibility to make sure that you are fit for purpose. Now, if you're not fit for purpose, a lot of the problems as well, Ian, is that people are driving cars with bad eyesight. Absolutely appalling.
Well, we heard from Melissa, whose dad's blind in one eye. He's got no depth perception, and if he parks in a car park he's not parked in before, he'll go in the disabled bay because he's scared he might hit a car in a normal-sized bay.
I think the idea of testing people, supposing then we say we test people over the age of 65 then, every year to make sure they're good and safe drivers, and we keep our insurance down, because I think insurance companies at the moment are taking the mick big time. They've got millions to spend on TV advertising. It's saturation level, but when you come to get your policy renewed, not necessarily into your old age, but young and medium, like in your 40s, 50s, they want to whop you so bad with insurance premiums just because of all these other people that are making claims and whatever.
Well done, Phil.
If you take your driving seriously, you should never have to worry about being retested.
Fellas, right. Eddie, have you got kids?
Grown up, yes.
How many kids you got?
2, boy and a girl, and they both drive.
Who's your favourite?
You should never have favourites.
We shouldn't ask him. I'm asking, who's your favourite?
No. I've never considered any of my kids to be my favourite.
Oh, no.
They're always treated equally. You should never treat kids one. You should not even... No. It's totally wrong to tell your kids that one of them is your favourite.
And you shouldn't tell them, and you shouldn't treat them differently, and I agree with you. Which one's your favourite, though?
I haven't got a favourite.
Yes, you have. We've all got favourite. Of course we have. We've all got favourite friends. We've all got favourite parents, favourite grandparents.
I'm proud of my children's abilities. My daughter is special needs, and she drives like a dream. I tell you what, she'd show a good number of them up out there for driving. She's got special needs, strangely enough, comprehension, but she's got an iPhone 5 and all this type of thing, and yet she is, as a driver, she's superb. And my son tends to be a bit lead booty, like I call it. I used to be quite a fast driver, especially when I drive in buses. But I've realised now there's a proper way of driving.
Hang on, sorry. Did you say you used to be a bit fast when you were driving buses?
Oh, very fast.
Oh, flipping heck, Eddie. No,
Yeah,
I don't want to hear...
It's all measured. It's all calculated and well measured, believe me.
Bill, have you got kids?
Yes, I have.
How many kids you got?
5.
Who's your favourite?
Well, I would say one of my daughters, but I wouldn't let any of the rest of them know.
Why is she your favourite?
She's just this.
Yeah.
She's always has been. She's my little girl.
Is she the youngest?
Yeah.
Isn't that interesting? And I'm not making a judgment on either of you for that. I just genuinely think, as human beings, we are attracted, not sexually, but we are attracted to people, some people more than others, and that extends to our children. There are some qualities in our children that we find more attractive than perhaps in the other children. And Bill, well done for admitting it's your youngest daughter. 03453 009956. Is it always the youngest? It could be. Because they kind of retain those baby-like qualities, perhaps. 03453 009956. Who is your favourite child and why? Very brave of Bill to admit that. Thank you. It's the last 30 minutes of the show. Where did that happen? We've got a lot to cram in. Take your calls on your favourite child and any of the other bits and pieces that we're talking about. I've got some texts here, and we'll do those in a little bit. But just one final story I want to do this morning. Do you let your kids use the computer? Do you let them play games on the computer or play games on your phone? Or maybe even play on a PlayStation or an Xbox. New research suggests that overuse of the internet is causing mental health problems for children. Government advisers say each hour spent in front of a computer puts them at greater risk. But it's not just children using the computer we need to be worried about. Apparently, us as grown-ups, we check our phones every 6.5 minutes. Is that all? I think for some people it's more than that. And we spend more time using our phones than talking to our partners. There's nothing sadder, is there, I think, than you're sat in a restaurant and you see a couple and they're both on their phones or their tablets and they're not looking at each other or talking to each other or gazing into each other's eyes. And there's nothing wrong, is there? We've lost the art to sit in silence with someone. There's nothing wrong with going out for a meal and not talking the whole time. You don't have to talk the whole time. There's nothing wrong with being silent. Oh, do you remember that fella you used to work with? And then conversation comes spontaneously. Sitting there on your phone, it's the saddest thing. Well, UNICEF has developed an app which cuts off your usage and encourages you to play with your children. Catherine Crisp is Head of Strategy and Innovation at UNICEF UK and joins me now. Morning, Catherine.
Good morning.
Do you know what I mean? When couples are sat in restaurants and they're not looking at each other, they're looking at their phone.
Oh, absolutely. You see it all the time at the moment, don't you? On trains, out and about.
And they're updating their Facebook status. I'm in a restaurant. Well, who cares? Enjoy it. But, Catherine, tell us what this app is and how it works.
Well, with the UNICEF Playtimer app, the idea is that your child becomes the boss of your phone, effectively, and work-proofs it in quite a fun way. So when you go into the app, you agree with your child how long you're going to play with them for.
Right.
And you then use sort of face recognition technology to take a photo of your child, and this then effectively locks your phone and you get a black screen. And if you touch the phone during this sort of agreed playtime, an alarm is activated and you have to then take a picture of your child again to deactivate it. Or you can just wait a little bit and it goes off. And there's also some functionality in the app to set alarms to remind you to sort of have some playtime with your child.
It's really sad that we have to do that, isn't it?
I mean, it is really. I mean, there's been quite a bit of recent research, some of which you've just talked about, and other research showing that parents are taking a lot of work calls and emails outside working hours, and that this is really affecting their ability to have quality time with their children. So I suppose the app is kind of a fun way to remind parents about the kind of example they set and how important it is to have quality time together with your children and playtime.
Is it going to work, Catherine? Because surely the kind of people that download this app and use it will be the ones that are kind of aware that they perhaps need to give their children more time anyway.
Yes, I mean, I suppose from my personal experience, I mean, I have to say that I loved the idea when I first heard about it, just because as a working parent, I could really relate to how difficult it can be to balance sort of work and quality time with your children. So I road tested it with my 2 children, and with my 5-year-old, it was great, actually. We had some really good playtime, and it reminded me to focus on her, not to do any work, and also not to do chores around the house or use my phone for sort of other reasons.
Yeah.
My 2-year-old, however, was a different kettle of fish entirely. He just wanted to see the pictures and play with the phone. And he believes he has a right to an iPhone. So it was probably a bit more disruptive. But I think, I mean, for me, the important thing was that it's just made me think about how I use my phone at home. And it's made me think about trying to keep it out of the room when I'm with the kids, so that if it rings, I can hear it, but I'm not distracted by the buzz of emails or sort of tempted onto Twitter or anything. So I think overall it was positive. And the important thing here really is just about getting people to think about the time they're spending with their children and think about the effect that, you know, the ever-connected sort of internet and things had,
because
really.
the kids are seeing it now. The kids are seeing their parents using the phone, looking at the phone as opposed to looking at them, you know, and they're going to grow up thinking that's normal behaviour, aren't they?
Exactly. And I think that's the point of the app, is just to highlight that and to make you think about it and have conversations about it.
I can hear kids in the background. Are they yours now?
I'm actually at the park now.
Oh, beautiful. Well done, you. I won't keep you too much longer. I was wondering, you said you've got kids who are 5 and 2. I've got 2 boys, 4 and 2. Have you let your children play computer games yet?
A little, but it is something I try to avoid having as a regular thing within our sort of daily schedules and stuff.
Because I've not, and I'm a big fan of computer games. I've not, and I've just noticed on CBeebies this week, a channel I'm sure you're very familiar with. You've got 5 and 2. They've started advertising their website and their online games actually while the programmes are on. So you'll be watching Grandpa in My Pocket, and it will flash up on the screen. Play the game at our website, and that kind of struck me as a little bit. I want to keep my kids away from video games and the internet and things like that for as long as possible.
Yeah, I mean, I think for me it's about keeping screen time sort of to a reasonably small amount, I think, and just making sure that, you know, it's something you can use a little bit, but not to use the electronic babysitter, I suppose, and make sure it's not stopping you going to the park and reading books and doing all the other things that you do together.
Catherine, go and play with your children. Enjoy the nice weather.
Thank you very
much for your time. That's Catherine Crisp, Head of Strategy and Innovation at UNICEF UK. It's sad that such an app exists, but I can kind of understand why. I genuinely believe 5 years' time, there will be 12-step support groups. You know, you've got AA and NA and OA and gamblers and all of these things. There will be a support group for people who are addicted to smartphones and tablets. I know it. It's going to happen. It's an addiction. I went off my iPhone for about 7 or 8 months in the end. I've gone back to it, kind of practicalities. But I find my boys were having a bath the other day and I was checking my work emails. How sad is that? And I caught myself doing it and I kind of put the phone away. But I'm missing out. My 2 beautiful boys are having a bath. I'm checking to see what's happening in the show tomorrow. Who cares? You know, it's crazy. 03453 009956. It's the last 25 minutes of the show. And pretty much as always, the last 25 minutes, it's a free-for-all. We kind of tie up as many of the loose ends as we can and put full stops where it's appropriate. We can't always do that, but it's certainly worth having a go. So if you want to give us a call about older people being retested, having a driving test every year from the age of 67, makes perfect sense to me. It's about making the road safer. And how can anybody argue with wanting to make the road safer? You can give us a call about that. You can give us a call about the green waste. Who's your favourite child? And also about your kids playing video games. Helen's in Stafford. Good morning, Helen.
Good morning, Ian.
Which one of those would you like to talk about?
Quite a lot of them, actually.
You go for it then.
Okay. Favourite child, I have 4.
Yep.
And I don't have a favourite.
Yes, you do.
No, I don't.
I don't believe you for a second.
I don't. Each of them have individual personalities.
Yeah.
which I love that one about that personality. I love that one about that little niche. I love that one about that. I love that. I don't have a favourite.
All of my friends have got different personalities, and I have a favourite.
No.
Because of their different personalities.
No, I disagree completely. Completely disagree. I've got one daughter who can be really mardy because she doesn't like to be criticised.
Oh, and 5 points for the use of the word mardy. Well done. Yes.
Thank you.
It's
I didn't realise I was on the scoring board.
No, it's grossly underused, the word mardy. So go on.
She's very mardy. My eldest son, he's a complete pain in the rear at the moment. He's nearly 18. My youngest, she's just a bundle of fun. And my eldest daughter, who is nearly 16, they're going through their GCSEs and everything else. But each of them have the most amazing, how can I explain it? Look at stars.
Yeah.
And you go, oh, look at that star, isn't that beautiful? Isn't that star beautiful? Isn't that star beautiful? Each of my children have a star. And I look at them like that and go, oh, yeah.
Okay. Let me rephrase the question.
Okay. No, I don't have a favourite.
No, I'm going to rephrase it.
Okay.
Who is your least favourite?
I haven't got
one.
one.
Helen, I don't believe you're being very diplomatic. Are they in the room with you?
No.
Holding a gun to your head?
No, I'm in the garden at the moment.
With greater respect, I don't believe you.
Sometimes I dislike every single one of them.
Yeah.
I do not dislike any of them at one particular time.
You're like Kofi Annan when it comes to discussing children. I'm going to let you off that, or I don't buy it. When did you let your kids start playing video games?
Oh God. Okay, we'll do least favourite now then.
Go on.
My son.
Oh.
Who is the eldest?
That didn't take long.
No, it didn't. But he is now going through his A-levels, and when he has a kick-off, it's like, okay, I'm on to games, or he watches videos.
Yeah.
The computer's in the office, so we know what he's watching.
Yeah.
But it has become, like you just said a few minutes ago, an addiction.
Yeah.
And it's like, I'm on RuneScape, or I'm on the Xbox doing the FIFA games.
Yeah.
That is when I go, Jack, can you please get off and go into your bedroom? In a minute. And that's when you dislike.
So Jack's your least favourite. You've answered the question.
No, I haven't.
Jack's your least favourite?
No.
I've gone off Jack a bit, to be honest.
No. How dare you? You don't even know him.
I'm joking. He sounds like a typical teenage lad who wants to play video games.
Yeah, but we were having a discussion this morning about, rather than getting on video games, why don't you go out and meet people? Well, I can talk to people on this. No, get out and have a social life.
But that's the thing, because when I used to play computer games when I was 10, they kind of really sort of took off. I had a Dragon 32. Hey, steady on, love. Okay, we're touche, we're one each. And I used to play video games a lot, and they were rubbish back then, but I used to play them a lot. But then it was a solitary experience. You were doing it on your own. Maybe you had a mate with you. Nowadays, with the Xbox, with the internet, you could be playing a game with 16 other people. So it is a social activity.
You can actually play the Xbox global.
I know. I've played people in America and Japan, and that's wonderful. When I was, I've got the little headset. I sit there with the headset. When I'm not a geek, producer Joe's being abusive in my ear. So I am able to play with people in Japan and America and France and Spain. What an amazing opportunity for young people!
Right. So have you got outside? Get outside, go to the park, go to the ice skating rink, go to the cinema, go and do something.
Go to the cinema. Go to the cinema. Sit in a dark room for 2 hours and not talk to anybody. Really?
Yeah, but you can put your arm around her.
Yeah, I never had the guts to do that. Helen, thank you very much indeed. I love it. The argument, and we may not get time for the argument to come up today, the argument that often pops up when you have this discussion is, kids, they play too many video games, they should be reading more books. They sat there on their own, isolating, playing video games. Well, hang on a second, what are you doing when you read a book? You sat there on your own, inside it, looking down, not talking to anybody. There is nothing more antisocial than reading books. And I love books. I love a good book. I love a bad book. But there is nothing more isolating, nothing more antisocial than reading books. Fact. 03453 009956. Let's go to Jarvis. Morning, Jarvis.
Morning, Lee.
It's Ian, but never mind. What would you like to say?
Ian. basically, the person test and retest. I think as a broad point, everyone should be tested after 5 years, or at least 10 years, if not. No matter what state of your health.
I would agree with that. I would agree with that, Jarvis. But I do think once we get to 67, it should be every year because the deterioration in the body is much more significant and much more rapid.
Well, should not then be between? If it's that bad, your doctor should have recognised it, tells you, and notified the DVLA.
Yeah, but not everybody goes to a doctor regularly, do they?
Okay, maybe not.
Wait, so if it was law that from 67 you got a letter every year saying, all right, Jarvis, you're 67 now, happy birthday, by the way, you've got 2 months to go and have a driving test. If you don't have the driving test, we'll take your licence away. If you fail the driving test, we'll take your licence away. That sounds fair, doesn't it?
I don't think they should take the licence away initially.
Well, what should they do then? They let you drive when you're not up to speed?
No, let's say depends on how severe. Well, if you need it, sometimes you might just need a little bit of advice and correction, and then take it from there.
But if the driving test proves that your eyesight isn't up to scratch or your reactions are too slow for it to be safe, then they should surely take your driving licence away because those things aren't necessarily going to improve.
But suspend it until such time you rectify the situation.
Jarvis, thank you very much indeed. 03453 009956 is the telephone number. But if your reaction speed at 72 is too slow to the brake immediately, therefore you are putting people's lives at risk, that probably isn't going to improve. Take the licence away. And older people do have the bus passes. So it's not as if that you are forcing them into a life of solitude, a life of staying at home watching Jeremy Kyle or Cash in the Attic. I can think of worse things to do, actually. But they've got the ability to go out. They've got bus passes. 03453 009956 is the last 15 minutes of the show. It's always a little bit of a mad scramble. So if you want to take part, I would suggest you give us a call now. BBC WM 95.6. Let's get the travel with Liz.
Thank you, Ian. It is a bit of a mad scramble on the roads. Quite a few problems to report as you head along Suffolk Street, Queensway. The A38 is partially blocked. A vehicle has broken down on the slip road leading to Holloway Circus from Paradise Circus, and that's causing quite a bit of congestion in the area. Still problems in Middleton. The A4091 partially blocked because of an accident involving a cyclist, we understand, at Church Lane near to Parkgate Farmhouse. Police still at the scene, but traffic is getting by okay. In Wilnecote, the A51 Dost Hill Road is partially blocked. Again, an accident there being recovered at the Whittington. Traffic having to squeeze by. In Kings Norton, it's queuing towards the tip on Lifford Lane around Tunnel Lane. The congestion back to Pershaw Road. And the M5 going south as lane closed in the exit slip road at Junction 4. The turning for Lydia Tash and Bromsgrove, the A38. A vehicle has broken down there, so say the Highways Agency officers who are on the way to the scene. If you can update us, call BBC WM 95.6 Travel 08453 002288.
5 clues.
Hi, what's your name?
I'm Rich, how you doing?
Oh yeah, Rich, and you work for Dudley Zoo?
Do indeed, yeah, Dudley Zoo.
To find one person in the West Midlands.
They're quite tall and lanky.
Oh, you having a laugh?
You having a laugh?
Laugh at giraffe! He's eating away and there's a clue in the bowl.
Hunted.
With Richard Wilford.
This Sunday morning from 9.
BBC WM
95.6.
Suddenly, it's 11:46 on a Saturday. My weekend starts in about 13 and a half minutes. How wonderful is that? Nice weather, isn't it? Oh, I'll have some of that, please. If you want to take part in the last few minutes of the show, you can give me a call, 03453 009956. I should mention, if you want to get in touch during the week with ideas for the show, send me an email, ian.lee@bbc.co.uk. Who did get in touch? Where's that email gone? It was Chris. Chris has sent me an email, and a couple of other people have done that as well. So do get in touch, and if it's something we think we can look at or something we think you might be interested in, then we'll certainly consider it. Ranjit's in Albury. Morning, Ranjit.
Hiya, mate. You okay?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks, Ranjit. What would you like to say?
Okay. You know how you says your subjects change? It's like sitting in a pub, you don't have an agenda, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, I've been listening to your programme all morning, and I want to briefly talk about the blue badges, but then I want to talk about something else.
Go on.
Okay. You know, the blue badges, I understand that disabled people, don't want to be disabled, and they need to be near the entrance of the shops because of the walking distance or the breathing and everything else. I understand totally about that. Totally understand about wide spaces. They need to open the doors so they can get their legs out, maybe their wheelchairs. But the one thing I don't understand is, why do they get free parking? Why is it free? Because they get additional benefits anyway.
Well, the point that was put forward by a caller earlier on, whose name escapes me, is they get the free parking because a significant number of them are dependent on benefits. That some of them don't have jobs, and their money is at a premium, and maybe they've had to spend money on wheelchairs or money on alterations to their home, so that their money is possibly a little bit tighter than yours or mine.
OK, I'll take that on board. And the other subject I wanted to talk about was, you know, how you're getting all these councillors and, you know, leaders of the council, even throughout the week, who keep on going on about austerity cuts,
Yeah, oh yes, austerity, very popular at the moment.
I've been trying to champion this for the last couple of years, and I've been on several other shows, where you've had Albert Bohr and, I don't know, Darren Cooper from San Juan Council. You know, I've asked them questions, but they keep on avoiding the main question that I keep on asking them, and I go to local meetings, and I'm not affiliated to any party.
I'll go.
OK?
Yeah.
You know, you got elections next week, Thursday, yeah?
I believe that to be the case,
That's it, you do. Right? Now, you're trying to be very controversial, and you probably are good at doing what your job is, yeah? If you really want to take the bull by the horns, you need to ask these politicians proper questions.
For example, give me an example of what you consider a proper question.
Now, you know, in Birmingham, there's probably about 70 to 80 councillors who are standing up for their seats, yeah? They've also already got additional jobs.
Yeah.
Like yourself now, yeah? You are a TV and a radio presenter, so that is where you get the majority of your income.
Yes.
And if you've got some spare time, and you decide that in the area that you work or the area that you live, you want to see some improvements and you want to stand up as a councillor, you will get elected, okay? You will get paid between £15,000 and £20,000 for that.
Yeah.
And then what you'll do is you'll get expenses on top of that, which could be anything up to £30,000.
What's the question, Ranjit?
The question is, why don't you do that free? Why don't you do that free? Because you have a choice in doing it. So you should ask all these councillors, that want to be elected, why aren't you doing it for nothing?
Well, why should they do it for nothing?
Because they are public servants.
Right.
Yeah?
But why shouldn't councillors get paid for their service to the public?
They are doing it voluntarily. They have a choice. When they make the cutbacks, to the teachers, to the police, to the fire brigade, to the hospitals, to everything else, I have not seen any cuts in their wages or their allowances.
Ranjit, you run a shop, is that right?
I run a shop, yes.
You're doing that voluntarily. Why should you be paid for it?
I'm doing it as a living.
No, you're doing it voluntarily. I'm doing this job voluntarily.
You're doing it to earn a living.
Well, they're doing
voluntary. No, listen. What I'm saying to you is, say you're on X amount of money, that keeps your household going.
Yeah.
Right? If you want to do another part-time job, or do overtime at work, so which makes your income bigger.
There's a really obvious. There are two obvious answers to this.
No, there isn't.
You've not heard them.
Go on, come on out with it.
The first one you're not buying, but I believe that people should be rewarded financially for work that they've done. Okay. The second one is, if it was unpaid, the only people that would do it would be really rich people. And do we want?
No, they wouldn't.
Well, yeah, of course they would. There will be people. No. There will be people that could afford to do it.
No, you would have publicly spirited people, that care about their communities, that would want to go and bring these changes in.
Well, then why aren't those people doing? I don't think you would, because they would do it anyway.
No. What's happened is this has become like America now, right? 50 years ago, you had a local parish leader that cared about the environment around the area he lived in. He went to the...
How has the interest... I'm only speeding this up because I've got to get to Phil and Haggis and we're running out of time. How has them being paid got rid of that?
It's got rid of it because their first incentive, is money.
Well, then that surely would attract... That would surely attract more people.
No. I had last week...
If there is money involved, that will attract more people.
No. Listen. A few weeks ago, Albert Bohr was on there, and I asked the same question. You know what he answered? He says, councillors go around doing litter picking on us, and hang on, that's not the question I asked.
Okay, but Ranjit, listen, we have to be very careful when elections are coming up. I don't want to mention any specific... No, Ranjit, shush, because there are rules that we have to follow. I'm going to be strict now. When there's an election coming up, I don't want to mention specific councillors, I don't want to mention specific parties, because then I have to spend the next 10 minutes reading out all the other councillors and all the other candidates.
You need public-spirited people, who are prepared to look after their communities, right, and who will do it on a voluntary
Well, why
basis.
aren't they? Why, if those if those public-spirited people exist, why aren't they going up for the position when money is paid to them?
Well, I don't know that. There probably is a lot of people, but they don't get selected.
Why?
If you join any party, for example, and if you don't fit in with those chums, they won't.
Then you stand as an independent. Right, Ranjit, listen, let's have this discussion next week, shall we, after the elections? We have to tread very carefully when there are elections going on, because there are rules that we have to follow. And if we mention one party, I've got to sit here for the next 10 minutes and go, by the way, other candidates include... I can't be bothered to do that. Let's go to Phil in Nuneaton. Morning, Phil.
Morning, Ian. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks. Phil, what would you like to say?
Well, first of all, I'd like to agree with the first part of the conversation with regards to drivers over the age of 67 being retested.
Yeah.
But it should go further than that, and I can give you an example. I know somebody personally that had a stroke last year.
Yeah.
And they've now been given the OK to go ahead and drive. But that OK has been given by a driver, by a doctor, and not a professional driving instructor. How does a doctor know that person is up to standard to go back into the vehicle and drive?
Well,
not talking about reactions, but talking about the whole perspective of getting back into a car again and, being a fit and proper person.
Well, I guess, the doctor can say that yes, they can see properly, they can react properly, they can think properly. What else would need to be... They wouldn't have forgotten the road signs and the rules of the road after that stroke, would they?
Well, that's the whole thing that comes into it. If I was to put a set number of signs in front of you now, I guarantee there'd be a number of those signs that you wouldn't recognise or remember. And the fact that the driving signs can change every so often, there are millions of people out there on the road that probably haven't got a clue about all the new signs that have come in. So the next part would be that, yes, everybody needs to be not necessarily retested, but reassessed every so often to make sure.
I'd go with that totally. I think it's incredible that we don't have some form of retest or some form of reappraisal every, let's say, 5 years. I think it's crazy.
So it's not just about banging on about people over a certain age. It's also banging on about everybody that's on the road. We all want to make sure that the roads are safe for our children, our grandchildren, etc. And it's about time that we started looking at this. The government will always argue that the death rate in this country is one of the lowest in Europe. But just because we've got the lowest death rate in Europe doesn't mean to say that we can't improve even more.
Phil, I agree. We should be proud of the fact we have the lowest death rate, and then we should strive for an even lower one. Definitely.
Exactly. So bringing in retests, I think, is a crucial part. Whether it should be every year for somebody over 67 or not may or may not be right, but yes, there should be. But also, let's not forget everybody else out there. The big problem with learning to drive these days is that it's not just a case about learning to drive. People want to learn to pass a driving test. Once they've passed that driving test, they're not bothered, and that's the thing that's wrong with the system. Everybody should have these retests every so often to make sure that they've kept up to date with all the new changes that come into operation.
Phil, I'm agreeing with you. I'm metaphorically high-fiving you. I'm also cutting you off just because we're running out of time, and I want to squeeze in Haggis. Morning, Haggis.
Morning, Ian.
What would you like to say?
On about the mobile phones.
What? Oh, yeah, sorry, we were... I thought, where's that come from? We were talking about parents using mobile phones too much. Go on.
I was in the bathroom. I'll come back in.
Good for you.
I heard you talking about it. What it was, the phone I'm talking to on now is like 14, 15 years old. It doesn't take a picture. I can call on it. I can send texts. Yesterday, I went and bought a new one. I hadn't got a clue. I looked at the little booklet. My nephew, who's 11, 12, sorted it out straight away.
Of course he did.
And that freaks me out that me, at 51, nearly 52, I don't understand how the new phones
Well,
work.
kids. I mean, it's the same for me in the 80s when we got a Betamax video recorder. My parents didn't have a clue how to use it, and instinctively I knew exactly what to do, and they would always ask me to set it for them. I guess that's kind of the nature, isn't it? That the young people are always going to know better than the olds.
That makes me feel old, Ian.
Haggis, listen, mate, we're well
weird,
old.
But every conversation I had before I did go in the bathroom, because I've found it before, I've only got one leg up to my hip, and I'm in a wheelchair, and the blue badge stuff.
Yeah.
Yes, but every conversation...
Your leg's up to your hip?
Subject,
did you say Haggis, did you say you've only got one leg, it's up to your hip?
Pardon?
Did you say your one leg is up to your hip?
Yes, yeah. My right leg is up to my hip, yes.
Oh, you mean what? You mean it's cut off at the knee?
Yeah.
Oh, OK,
no,
sorry.
No,
hang on, what?
No, sorry.
So it goes from your foot to your hip?
Yes, all the way up, yeah.
Most legs do, don't they? What's the other one?
My other one's sound. I'm just sitting it now.
OK, right.
I've only got one leg, but
OK.
what I was saying...
It goes up to your hip.
When it was on about the blue badge and everything, but that was good conversation, but the reason I found out was because Kyron, he showed me how to use my new phone yesterday.
Yeah.
But I'm on my old phone now.
Yeah. Yeah, listen,
because I know how to use
Haggis,
this one.
Go and treat yourself. Go and have a nice game of Snake.
I'm going to go out in the garden and enjoy the weather.
There you go, good lad. That's exactly what you know. What a nice positive message to end the show on. Oh, hang on, I've pressed the wrong button. Look, here we go. I've got to press this. Fingers are all big fat fingers all over the place today. It's not as exciting as it sounds. I keep hitting the wrong buttons. Right, that's it. That's your lot, dear listener. Thank you very much. If you want to get in touch during the week, send me an email, ian.lee@bbc.co.uk. I'm going outside to eat something in the sunshine. I'm back here next Saturday at 9 o'clock. Lizzie Crow's up next. Until next week from me, ta-ta.
With full commentary of every Warwickshire cricket game this summer, exclusively online, bbc.co.uk/WM.
The voice of Birmingham and the Black Country.